Hello one and welcome to a new video. Today I am starting TBR Tumble episode 3, which is the series on my channel where I'm reading down my TBR, which started out on 600 or 598 if we want to be very specific. We have now done 2 episodes. I mean, I keep getting in books, which is obviously a huge problem. I keep getting in less books than before, but I still keep getting in books. And last episode we only managed to get like 8 books out, and obviously I'm still reading a lot of books in and out from a TBR and the library outside these logs. So there's a lot going on in the backseat of my head. But we are starting this episode with 546 books on my TBR, which is more than we ended episode 2 with, because I gotten a lot of books in because it was Black Friday and I ordered a lot from before. So obviously we need to get down this number. I would love to be on 500 before the new year, but as this is the December episode, I am unsure. But the version we're going with this time, first version we had Readathon or on Haul edition, where I picked up books that I was not that keen to read. Second one, we randomized a letter. And in this one, we are going to follow a readathon, which I feel like I haven't done in a really long time. But I feel like this readathon was very, very fitting. And I heard about it first from Becca and Back on the Books, which is Clear Your Shit Readathon. And I will obviously leave that link down below and all the info for that. That is almost like there's characters in the readathon, and then there's been like many years of them, so it seems to be almost like a story. Obviously I haven't kept up with the story, I just want to do the prompt. And the whole point of the readathon is to read books on your TBR, like don't borrow, etc, etc. Read books you own, and I feel like it was very fitting for this. It is a readathon that in theory goes from the 1st of November to the end of the year, but obviously we are only doing it in December, and there is 27, if I'm not incorrect, 28. It was hard to count in my Excel sheet prompts, which means we will read 28 books for this vlog, and then obviously only picking books out of my TBR this time. In the other episodes we had to borrow things to complete things, but this time we're only doing my TBR books. And I'm just thinking I will like be a bit strict and start on top, and I'll follow all the prompts downwards. I've written them all down, etc. The first prompt is as easy as read the most recently book added to your TBR. And as I just mentioned, there was a Black Friday sale, so I did get books, and this is like, obviously I got a pile of them, but this is like the last one I registered into the bib, so I thought we would go with that one, and that is Moth by Kika Hatsupulo. This is the author of Threads That Bind, which was a Greek mythology retelling, a duology as well, and I completed that and really, really liked it. Now, obviously, I am at the point, don't just want to buy books without knowing if I will like them, but since I enjoyed that one so much from the author before, and I saw this and I was like, oh, but it looks so good, I bought it, and here we are. Do I know the synopsis for this? No. Will I read it before reading the book? No. So I need to get to you soon, but it says 2 warring worlds, 1 epic love story. And look at it. It looks so fun. I don't even know if it's a YA or what it is. I mean, it looks like a YA, I think. I have no clue, honestly. It's like almost 400 pages. We are not in December yet, but I will start this, I think, the 1st of December, because I need to complete 1 book before. It's only like 2 days until. But I am excited for this first prompt to read this, and then we shall see how this goes. Obviously, I am hopeful to not use like 28 on this, even though there is 28 prompts, because that will be the whole month. But I do usually read more than a book a day, so I think it will be fine. Let's go. Hello. So I finished a couple of things that I by accident finished before I got to update you about one. But I did finish the last one, or the first one we talked about, which was Moth by Kika Hatsupulo. I honestly don't know what to say about this, but it was, in a way, a beautiful story. I was trying really hard to be beautiful, but then I got a bit lost. I don't really know how to describe it, but we are like first in our world, but then our world has kind of been connected to this other world that appeared. And then a main character is very attracted to this world, etc. And then someone is after her. And then she also is connected to one of the people that are in this world, etc. And they are like different kind of creatures, so they have all kinds of different kind of genders as well, at least neutral genders. So it is, if you want to think on it, like a non-binary main character, or at least love interest. And then we have like different timelines, and we run into like go into the timelines and like the universe in a way and it's very like beautiful, etc. And it's in a way a love story between the two. I think the writing was nice, like it was beautiful in a way, and I think like it felt very like it started to be like grand and beautiful with these two characters falling for each other. But then it lost its grounding a bit because of this, because obviously we have first like a girl that literally is in New York, etc. And then we kind of just like expand to this universe thing in a way. And it doesn't mean that the book is bad, but it lost me a bit in there because I was just like, wow, this is a very like, woo, up in the air thing. I love calling books up in the air thing when I am in, when they are kind of like grand, but it's not grounded. So you kind of just feel like you're almost like in a dreamscape. And that can work sometimes, but sometimes not. I did enjoy parts of it because I did like the characters and I like the writing, etc. And I like the idea of the book. So I don't think that the book was bad. Maybe again, because I listened to audio for the other book by this author, I would have felt more for those if I listened to the audio. Maybe like I would have felt more for this if I listened to the audio. But I still had a good time with it. Like I said, my good time with it. I'm giving it a 3 and I'm keeping it for now because I do think it's pretty, etc. But don't know like if on hold in a few years if it will survive, because that depends on how I feel about it then. So then we completed one prompt for this readathon and this vlog. The next prompt is read a children's / middle grade book or one with a child in it. And I thought I would read one of the children's books I actually have, which is actually a picture book. And I read this like last night before I was passed out. Yes, this is a picture book. I'm fully aware that it's like super short. Like it literally took me 3 minutes to read. I'm not joking. The thing in this vlog isn't to read the longest books I have on my TBR. It's to read books on my TBR no matter the length. This was on my TBR and it's not anymore. So we have one book less there. And honestly, I have had the next few here are all quite short. But it's not like I'm avoiding the long books or anything. It's just what I picked. But the book is, as you can see, the most boring book ever by Brandon Sanderson, and with the drawings by Kazu Kibuishi. And this book says, a boy sits in his chair, he's bored, you will be too. It is literally just kind of a ironic funny book where all the text, there is one sentence on each page, I got to say. The text is boring because nothing happens, but the pictures are very like a lot of things are actually happening. It really is supposed to be like be humoristic compared to the text, and I think it worked pretty well. I thought it was like cute. Like for example, just to show one of the beautiful illustrations now, is like sitting in a chair is boring because a boy just sits in his chair, but as you can see, lots of action happens. It's really colorful, beautiful illustrations in it, but obviously it is a picture book, so you don't get all of the involvements, etc. But I think that as a picture book, I think it was funny and cute. It's supposed to be funny. It had really nice illustrations. I personally really liked it. I don't know if I could give it a rating though, because it is a picture book. But as a picture book goes, I thought it was really enjoyable. Like I would give it a 5 and read it to my child if I had one, if they understood English. But also it was one sentence on each page. Sorry, I need to turn around to clean my desk behind me to have room for all these books I'm going to talk about. As it is one sentence on each page, it will be easy to translate for my kid, I guess. So we've completed that prompt. Like we had a child in it. It was a children's book, you know? A children's book, it's the picture book. So I think we completed that prompt pretty well. And I obviously bought that only because Brandon Sanderson wrote it. And I don't regret it at all, actually. I also have another picture book on my TBR as well. But yeah, it's on my TBR. So we have no one less on my TBR. That is the point here. So the next prompt is prompt number 3. Read a book with a potentially imitating or scary character in it. I failed this prompt a bit because I was thinking, let's read a horror book. And I was trying to think of horror books I own. I obviously own several, so I could have picked something else. But now I already read this. Since I don't read synopsises as well, I already read this for this prompt. But it says potentially scary. That doesn't mean it has to be. And the whole point of this readathon is to read books on your TBR. If they don't fit the prompts completely, who cares? The police is not going to arrest me. So I actually picked out What Most the Dead by T. King for sure. I don't know why I specifically picked this one, except for the fact that it is, yes, short. But I actually listened to audio on this while I was working, which is really nice. And this one follows a main character. They are like a sworn soldier and they go out in the countryside because they find out that their friend is dying, and then they're trying to investigate what their friend is dying of, basically. And it is a retelling of The Fall of House of Usher, which is also the Mike Flanagan TV show, which I loved, but also originally one poem or several poems by Edgar Allan Poe, or a short story. So weird things are happening in this house, etc. And I didn't realize how much the cover was going to come into play for the story, because they aren't really any scary characters. I thought that because it was horror, it would be scary, but we have a scary entity and we have that's happening. So while I didn't 100% complete the prompt, I still think that we did well. Like it could have fit worse to the prompt, you know? And I really enjoyed it. I think that T. Kingfisher and Shannon McGuire reminds me a lot of each other in its writing sometimes. Like I keep mixing up the authors in my head, but they're not the same author, because I feel like they write stylistically a lot of different types of story that remind me of each other in a way. And I read now some T. Kingfisher that I haven't loved that much, and some that I really loved. And this one was one of the ones I really, really enjoyed. I think that the story was condensed and very well written in a short amount of time. Like I'm currently rereading River Children, and that is why it reminded me so much of Shannon McGuire, because it managed to take so much into such a short book, but make it very impactful, very well written, very engaging story. I really like the characters and how like the sworn shoulders, etc. worked, because they basically have like a different kind of culture, etc. I thought that was interesting how we like explain how being a sworn soldier, what they actually did, etc. And there is now a trilogy. I have the second one, but not the third, because the third hasn't come in the height to match. But obviously I want to read the rest, and I really did enjoy this. I thought it was very well written, very much recommend, and it was a good pick. It was a good pick. And obviously we are keeping. I don't know if I need to say that on everyone though, because it's not like you're not keeping or eating everything. I will tell you if I'm whole, at least if I forget to say that I'm keeping. Then I have now started the next pick, but I haven't completed it because like I needed a next audio. So I just started, like I just went down on like what I picked for this to search up the next one to see if it was available on audio. The next prompt is read a book where someone goes on a journey. So I just thought I once on Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor by Siranja Zhao, and this one is a middle grade as well, so another easy read. But again, I am doing the audio. I just want to see if it was thick. It's about like over 200 pages. This one follows Zachary Ying that has never learned much about his Chinese ancestry. His mother came to the US and he has been with her, and she hasn't had time to teach him a lot about his inheritance and ancestry, because she has been busy trying to keep them afloat with lots of jobs. Then he finds out that he is like, what was it called? The spirit, the spirit of the first emperor of China, for a vital mission to seal the leaking portal to the Chinese underworld before the upcoming ghost month blows it open. So he goes on a journey to China, etc. And then he literally is going on a journey because he's going to China. And I didn't actually I didn't read a synopsis or anything before reading this, obviously, because who reads synopsises? But I knew on the style of the book that it was going to be like Percy Jackson-esque kind of story. And they always go on some kind of journey or adventure to defeat whatever they have to defeat or like find or etc. Like, it's always a quest, you know. So I knew that in a quest you go on a journey. So I knew that it was going to fit. And so far I'm very much enjoying it. I only listened to like a bit into the audio. I don't have at this moment another audio I need to read, so then I can use this for this vlog instead, so that we read double, or double we will read faster, everything. That is the most important thing. I have so many vlogs as well I need to do, so I'm just like everything is up in the air everywhere. But so far I'm very much enjoying it. We're going on this journey. I really liked how lots of like Chinese, I was gonna say lore, that is a really bad word, Chinese history into the story, and how like it's called out constantly how like Western the education is in the US, etc., and how he doesn't know anything about his ancestry. It's just like a history lesson combined with a fun and magical adventure, just like in Percy Jackson you learn about the Greek myth, but you are on an adventure as well, you know? So yeah, I will obviously update about this when I'm done with it. I'm hoping today, but I don't think it will be until tomorrow or the day after. The audiobook time is Variant. Then obviously I need a Aiba read as well, which I am hoping to read today. So the next prompt after that is to read a book that starts with T. And obviously most people have a billion books starting with T. Literally ironic that I looked over there and there was only one book starting with T when I said that. But I did choose The 10 Loves of Mr. Nishino. I don't know why I picked this either. Why did I pick these books? But I was trying when I picked my TBR for this to like sort my TBR and Libib from like the first things added. So I was trying to like take the oldest things out of my TBR. Not that like that matters, because that order in Libib is not correct, since I obviously just added everything the same day. But still, like these have at least been there longer than my newest book on my TBR. But I feel like I didn't get this that long ago, so I don't know what I'm doing, honestly. But this is a translated work from Japanese, which is called The 10 Laws of Mr. Nishino. And this author I read from before. I just want to double check that I am thinking about, yes. So she has also written Strange Weather in Tokyo, as well as A Record of a Night to Breathe, etc. Different kind of things that has been translated, and I have read some and enjoyed them. Like, this kind of stories that are translated from Japanese are very, like, they have a certain kind of vibe. They are really weird, but kind of in a nice way. I don't know how to describe it, because they have like this like weird vibe that works really, really well for me, and I really enjoy them. So I have a lot of them on my TBR, and this is just one of them, so I really want to read it. Some are cozy, like healing fiction, but these are just like normal fiction, but I have a certain kind of vibe that you can't find other places. Obviously, I don't know the plot because I don't read synopsises, but I will tell you after. And it's also very short. I don't know why all these books became very short, but that's just life. The next one after this is not that short. Not that I think you care, but there's that. But yeah, so we have come a bit into this now, and now I need to go and read more so we can get more books out of my TBR. Hello. So I have a few minutes before having to leave for work. Somehow I had more minutes today than the other days, but not that many minutes. But I did complete my next book, so I thought we could talk about it fast before I leave. So that was The 10 Loves of Mr. Nishino. I don't know what's wrong with the angle here, but we're trying to fix it. And this one was really weird, but I expected it to be weird. We kind of have 10 short stories in a way about all these different women that was involved with him in really weird ways sometimes. Like, it was really, really weird, some of the romance, etc. And it's supposed to be. I am really used to this kind of really weird style of writing. That doesn't mean that I always find it enjoyable, because some of it was really weird. But in theory, it is really about Mr. Nishino than anything else, and like why he's acting the way he does. And like, it kind of starts with him being dead, and then we go back in time all the way back to his first of 10 loves and his relationship with that first love, and then like throughout his whole life and why he can like settle down with any of these people. In theory, it is all about his sister in a way, and like what she went through and how that affected him, I think. And that is really like the story we find here. But there are some really, really weird relationships and trauma in here. In a way, it is exactly what I expected of like this kind of story. But the last one I read about this author was also like about a girl that starts dating her teacher after like she's done with school, but they meet and they have a romance. There is like cheating, there is the death of a child here, not like happening on page, but that is like a big prominent theme in the story and why a lot of things are happening. So in a way, it was super weird. Not like too weird for me, but it wasn't that engaging because of like the way that these women and him were together. It was really like, oh, I can't love you. And I'm like, why? We didn't get an explanation for why none of them could love each other. But I guess like that's kind of, I guess, a part of the story in a way. But it was nice to read something out of my TBR. It's really, really read book. And the other book I'm reading as well, ACEDEMY, is also completely read, so it's really funny. I'm giving it a 3, but I will keep it because I like to keep these kinds of story unless I hated it. And I did enjoy it semi-something, but it was weird. Now, for the next prompt, it is actually free space. So because of that, you can pick whatever you want to. I assume that is what free space means. And I had decided to go with, which seems very random, The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. I did read the Mary E. Pearson's Kiss of Deception many years ago. I do still own it, because I feel very nostalgic towards it, and I'm keeping it. But this one was a newer release that was in the Favorite Adult last December. And the reason I really want to read this is because I know the sequel is out, and I don't think Favorite has done the sequel. I don't know if they will do the sequel, but then I want to know before it comes if I want it. Because if I don't like this, then I don't want the sequel. But then also, if they're not doing the sequel, there is like a Waterstones edition, I think, and that was pretty nice. And it's still available, so I want to be able to buy that before it comes unavailable. So that's why I want to read this ASAP. And I saw this like 2 days ago, and I hadn't filled anything in free space. So I'm going to read this next, hopefully today, but we shall see if that happens. After work, obviously. And then I'm still obviously listening to Sakuring. I haven't listened to it the last 2 days because I was in home office, and I usually listen when I like commute and stuff. So I am listening to it right now when I was eating breakfast, and then I should listen to it more. And now I do really need to leave, so see you later. Hello. So I did finish Sakura Ying and the Dragon Emperor, which I finished yesterday on audio, obviously, which was really great to do audio at the same time as reading with my eyeballs, because then I feel like it goes faster. We did, as I said earlier, go on this adventure to save this thing, and then it does end in a way that there's definitely coming more, but we haven't seen any news, I think, about the sequel at all. So like I don't know how long that is going to be until, but I like the idea of like him being reincarnated and how like they got powers from all the legends people have said about them. So if one person like said or like wrote a legend about, like, for example, him in this case being this emperor, then he would have that power, and then etc. And it was these scenes where some of the power wasn't that good, and like different like license secrets, etc. And I liked the developments, etc. And story, it was like a fun middle grade that again is similar to like the vibes of Percy Jackson, etc. Which I really do like that format. That is one of the I sometimes like, you know, even though it can feel, I was gonna almost say tropey and repetitive, it's like a format that I really enjoy. Like you watch like 300 episodes of Supernatural, but it's still fun because it's a format that is fun and enjoyable. And I like this format a lot. So I really, really enjoyed this and gave it 4. I think the representation was interesting and the commentary of like how he doesn't know his story. There was this one scene where he got to hear someone that he loved talked, and he couldn't understand them because he didn't know the language, and he started to cry. And I got really emotional in that scene because I really, really felt that pain for him, and I thought it was just a really interesting scene. And then like the narrator like teared up in that scene as well, and I was like, dang. So I thought that some parts of this was really good, and it was a fun adventure overall. So giving it a 4 and excited for the next one. I did start the next one, which I did mention, which is The Courting of Mr. Keys, which is from my free space. I'm soon done with this. I'm reading it on ebook, and my ebook reader's in my pockets in my huge Udi. Where is it? I have lots of things in here, so there's that. I am, can I enter, please? 347 pages in, 63%. I will definitely finish that today. I'm not really enjoying myself. Starts off with this girl that goes into this deal with this fae, and she needs to help them find this door in Fairy, or in Alfheim, as we say. And it's just very weird because it was in the adult box, right, for Prelude. I actually really like this edition as well, which is the reason why I'm reading it, in case Prelude actually does the sequel and then I want to buy it. But so far, I'm reading it and it just feels, first of all, not like an adult at first. It was like, it doesn't really matter if it's adult or not, but then now it just, the character just feels so mature. It feels very juvenile. It's very like, oh my god, I guess I have to go there then. Like, that's kind of the tone of the story. And then they come there and it's just like really weird. I don't know, surface level. It doesn't feel like a nice development. I feel like it is just, it reads for a completely different target audience in a way, I think, than like what it is promoted as. So like if you're going to read it, I would adjust your expectations to that. But I'm just not liking it because I don't like the tone of the story. I feel like I like the fae and I like the elegance of it, and it's just not a very elegant book at all. And just the vibes are off for me. The vibes are very off, and I'm not enjoying myself. In the beginning, I was just like really trying, and I'm not trying anymore. So there's that. And I don't think that I will end up keeping it at all, honestly, because I'm not enjoying it at all. But it is a stunning edition that I really actually love. But such is life. But I am, as I said, 63% in. I would definitely finish that. And then I have another book for another vlog that I am going to try to finish, which I'm also not like loving either, but hopefully that will change. And then I will go back to you of what I'm reading next for this, because I'm not excited for that either. But yeah, I guess I gotta go and read and edit and do my stuff, and then we will see. Hello, I have some very few minutes before I have to leave for work. I made a weird decision here, and I am questioning everything. Wait. If I take out this book that I'm gonna show you, then you can be here. I just didn't bother taking this on because I'm about to leave in like 3 minutes. I finished this, The Courting of Mr. Keats. I already said I didn't really enjoy it, and I didn't really enjoy the rest. I thought that it was just rare enough for me. It would just felt very childish, is maybe the wrong word, but it felt like a different kind of story than what I expected from the vibes, especially since also it was in the adult box, etc. Maybe it's my own fault for having expectations, but I thought it would be like either a really good cozy vibe, but it was trying to, I guess, more hinge on like a romantic vibe, which is fine, but it just felt so like undeveloped and weird, and the world was not good. Like, it is like fairies, but I don't think that we explored it in like the vibe and like the atmosphere it wanted to be. It just didn't end up being that for me at all, and I didn't really like it at all. And I am sad because, as I said, I really love this edition. And again, Mary Pearson is an author I have enjoyed before. Like, I read her whole Kiss of Deception trilogy, and I did like that what it was in its time. So for this one, I'm giving it a 2, and I don't really want to keep it, so I am going to yeet it if we're going to rhyme. I just, like, it's going to lie in my room for 100 years before I have collected enough to actually do an unhaul. But if Farewell does the sequel, I don't want it because I didn't really enjoy this one. I doubt I would join the next one. Maybe I will borrow the next one sometimes just to finish up the series. But now I cleared at least one book from my shelves because I put another book where that was, and I don't really have any space, so there's that. But I feel totally fine with unhauling that. I think, even though it makes me sad, but it just shows that maybe subscription boxes is not the ideal thing for me anymore, but that is another reflection for another time. Now, what are we reading for the next? Where is my phone? Obviously, we are doing these prompts. We completed Free Space, which was a bonus prompt, but we're doing all the bonus prompts because we're going to read as many books as possible. The next prompt is to do a weaknesses mini boss. I guess we are like fighting kind of a boss in story-wise for this. There is 5 different mini boss prompts. I know that we are supposed to pick one prompt, like you're supposed to pick one and then move on. But since I want to read as many books as possible for this one, I decided to just do all of them, because the whole point is just to read books on your TBR. No one's going to arrest me if I fight 5 mini bosses. It's fine. And there was like one other mini boss and then a last like boss battle, I think, in the end. So I will see if I managed to do all the prompts for those as well, because obviously I'm going in order. But yeah, I just decided to do like this, and then we will obviously read more books than I said in the beginning. I don't remember how many I said, like 27. We will be close to 40, which means that my TBR might go down under 500, which would be amazing. So I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if I will have the time. It's already the 9th, so we shall see. Because obviously I do want to complete all of this before the new year to like have it in 1 year and in 1 month. That's what I enjoy. But the first mini boss prompt is Weakness Mini Boss. It's called TBR of Doom, and that is to read the longest book on the TBR. Now, in theory, I think my longest book on my TBR is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. For reasons that I didn't read after Goodreads Choice Award, which was the last blog I did, because I need to reread loads in Cosmere to read that and enjoy that to the fullest. I'm doing probably like 99% sure Cosmere read along next year. So I know that I then will reread everything and then eventually get to Wind and Truth. I just don't feel a reason now to read Wind and Truth, to rush it and then like not enjoy it as much as I would like, when I know I'm going to do a whole proper reread. So I'm not counting that, even though yes, in theory, that is probably the thickest book on my TBR. I'm trying to find something else. I just don't know what else than the book I chose, which is Alchemist by Sanlin Yu. This is, I think, 900 pages something. 950 maybe. Something like that. And it is, I think, a standalone. It is, again, 900 pages. It's a thick book. And I know where it comes from. I'm not an idiot. I got this because it was in the prelude. I thought I could sell it if I didn't like it, etc. And because I am going to do a vlog in the future, I kind of had to read this anyway, so I just got it. And then I would just talk about it in that vlog as well. So I'm not super excited, again, because of where it hails from, obviously, and I don't want to talk that much about that, but I'm going to read this and try to forget it. Even though it cannot be forgotten, I am fully aware. But now I have it, and I will read it, and it's very thick, and I don't really have time. So there's that, and I can't even like read it on ebook because it's like so popular, it has a waitlist. So I need to actually like read that in its physical form, and that is even worse, honestly. So we shall see how it goes, but I don't know anything about this world. I do believe the evil people won instead of the good ones, and this is the aftermath in that world, but I honestly don't know anything. I know that it is rewritten and things have changed since it's actually fanfic form. We shall see how it goes. But now you know that, and you know that you will literally never see me again, because I'm going to use like 100 years on that, and I need to rush everything else. So good luck to me, and see you then. Hello. It has been a few days because I procrastinated starting and finishing Alchemist because it was so long and I just didn't want to, and it was a whole thing. But I also did have to read 2 other books because I had a live show, like had a deadline yesterday, so I had to prioritize that. But then I spent now on Readathon with my patrons the last 2 days reading this, and I just finished it. And I don't know what to say. I know a lot of people love this video. Honestly, it was not for me. I didn't expect it to be for me, but I wanted to try. Now, I want to say I never read a fanfic. I don't really want to talk that much about a fanfic, but it's kind of unavoidable when you're going to talk about this book. But I feel like in the back of my mind, I see the title for it. I know it has a huge fan base. Like I even saw like on Goodreads now, it has like over 100,000 ratings just on Goodreads for the fanfic. And obviously a billion more people has read it than like those people who added it to Goodreads. And like it's been translated by fans and it's a whole thing. And I know a lot of people love it. And that is a whole other story. I never read a fanfic from this fandom ever actually. But reading this is obviously, it's not that fanfic anymore because obviously it needs to be its own world, or else it would be copyright infringement and all that stuff. So that is fine, but obviously you can't still have that in the back of your mind of where it comes from because it's kind of impossible to forget. But I read this and it is a dark romance, if you can call it like that. We have a main character who is been trapped for a while and she lost all her memories of how she got there, but she was part of this resistance, and then in this world the evil one has won and the hero is dead, and then she's like handed over to like one of the evil families that is now in a good position, I guess, in this world, and he is going to go into her mind and like unlock the memories that she has there, and then things happen from there. As it was a fanfic, obviously it's very like, if you read fanfic before, the chapters are mostly maybe you read like one a week, depending on how often the author publishes them. And often it is like, I guess they end like kind of in a cliffhanger, and like the build-up of a fanfic is very different than a build-up in a book. And I saw now on Goodreads that the original fanfic was 900 something pages. This one is 961. If you have, I think this is the favorite edition. If you don't have the favorite edition, I think it's over 1,000. It is a very, very thick book. And I honestly think that it doesn't need to be. I feel like they needed to edit this in a way that made it more into a book and less a fanfic. I feel like obviously that can backfire in different ways. The people who love the original fanfic would then be mad that it would be edited so much. But a person like me that want to read this as the book it is published in, as a person who doesn't have a relationship with the fanfic, as a person that goes into the bookstore and just like find a book, etc. That is me, and that is a lot of other people that are going to see this in the stores. I feel like it just needed to be edited because I feel like it didn't flow well as a 900-page book at all. I feel like, first of all, for me, it wasn't interesting enough to be 900 pages, and not enough happened to be 900 pages. I just felt very long and long-winded. And as you, I guess, like, when you write a fanfic, you maybe don't plan the whole story. It can become very long, it can be shorter than expected. Maybe you, like, obviously have a plan of, like, where things will go, but often you publish, weekly or etc., then it can become longer than you expect, etc. And I feel like this needed to be edited to a better book. And I feel like it is a story in here that was intriguing at times, but it was just so long and boring that the interesting parts disappeared in all of its pages of just blah, 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 blah. Now, there's also content warnings in here, which it definitely needs. In the beginning of the book, we have a page that says, if you want to look at the content warnings, look in the back of the book. And I'm like, you had a whole page saying that? You could just put the content warnings in the beginning of the book, because that is just annoying. And there's loads of different content warnings, but one of them very present is obviously rape, which I have seen a lot of people already writing about, etc. I don't even know what to say about it, honestly. Like, dark romance often has those kinds of things, and that doesn't mean that it is okay in real life or that it should be normalized in any way, but I don't even know what to say. Like, I can't even have a discussion because I don't think I'm smart enough, and I feel like I have a hard time coming across what I want to say. I don't think it's okay to represent rape in any way that is okay. But a part of me is like, but it is a fancy book. But just because it is a fancy book doesn't mean you can write whatever and make it okay either, So, like, it's two sides. But it was really weird because in my head, it was really sad. And it was terrible. But then they were trying to be like, oh, but it's fine because we had all these flashbacks. And I was like... But then I have read loads of worse dark romances. That doesn't make it okay, by the way. But I have read loads of worse dark romances than this, where I also been a bit like, my mind is stretching it to have it in this book, to be like, okay, it's in a book. But again, that doesn't mean that we should endorse or accept any of those things happening in real life. You know what I mean? And then there's this love story between them, and that is kind of the whole book. Why was it in the fantasy box, in the adult fantasy box? I don't know. Should have been in the romantic one. Honestly, what is the difference anymore? There is this love story, if you want to call it like that. It just doesn't need to be 900 pages. I feel like I've seen some people talk about like the world building or whatever. I don't think it was done well. I don't think that the magic is present enough in the story. It's only present to push forward this weird-ass love story for me. And then what is the plot in this? Honestly, did we have one? And again, as like a romantasy, that is the plot, right? But that doesn't need to be 900 pages. So I'm just very frustrated because it was so long and it wasn't interesting. And a bit part of me liked some part of the romance, like some few moments. But again, they're drowned in everything else. So I ended up feeling very not inclined to keep this, very not inclined to actually like it. I read the first 200 pages and already could tell by the writing that I didn't enjoy that much. And then I spent like 550 pages being bored to death. The ending was a bit interesting, but honestly, at this point when we had like a 900-page book, the ending could have been longer and we could have concluded things much better than what we got here. I still don't get a lot of things in this world, honestly, and we had this 900-page book. The world building is not solid at all, and it annoys me. It annoys me because I guess in my head, in the fanfic, there doesn't need to be world building because people are already familiar with the world the fanfic is set in. I don't know how much world building we bother doing here because obviously you have to change things around. But I'm just sitting here now like it was not good, and I didn't have a good time. Like my enjoyment was low. There was again like a few like 3% of moments that I enjoyed it, but it ended up not being a book for me. Honestly, I didn't even like care that much for the romance. I feel like our main character especially was just very like whatever. I didn't care for her. And there is so many more things that can be said about this book, but I'm gonna let it go now and I'm not gonna keep it. I hope someone else wants it. And then we are gonna read something else for this vlog because now I've just been stuck on that book. And speaking about reading something else for this vlog, I have actually already done it, but I didn't want to update because I wanted to go in order. So the next book, we actually need to move a bit around now. I have already completed. I listened to it on audio while I was procrastinating starting this. And it is actually right here. So they're in the wrong order. But the first book is The Midnight Lie. And the second one is The Hollow Heart, which is another older Fairloot edition. The Hollow Heart, I need to go over to computer again to see what I decided. But this is still for the Weaknesses mini boss because, as we know, I decided to do all the prompts for that, and we will see if we do the same with other bosses, etc. This is Cursed Weakling. Read a book you are least excited to read. That is a bit dramatic because it's not a book like on my whole TBR I think I'm the least excited to read, because obviously I have other books I am probably less excited for. It was just one that I came up with like very fast as I was going to pick my TBR, so I just decided to go for this one. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know how to describe the first one, but I read the first one earlier this year for the Illuminate vlog, I believe, even though I have the Fairloot editions. And in this one, we have two girls. It is an FF romance, and one of them is spying for the other, and then they need to collab for some things. And there's like godly parts of the story as well. In this one, we have the aftermath of the dramatic ending. I honestly was listening to it and I was like, what even happened in the first one? I didn't really enjoy the first one that much. I gave it like a 3. And honestly, I do think that these editions are beautiful. This was back when Fairloot didn't make that many special editions as now, because obviously now there's like 100 special editions every year. But like at that point, it was maybe like a few here and there outside their subscription. And I remember buying these only because they were pretty and it was like one of the few favorite editions at the time. Then I bought all editions without thinking, and that was wild of me. And I just didn't care that much. A lot of this one specifically is about these two girls, right? And they're trying to like, I was going to change the world, and then things evolve from there. In this one, we had a conflict between them that obviously wasn't solved in the last one, because in the last one, we had to have a duology, so we had to have drama to set up for the next one, is what I'm trying to say here. And I was just listening, and I was just like, I don't care. I don't care about these girls' issues. I don't really think that the story was that great. I gave the first one a 3, and I gave this one a 2. I forgot to say I gave Alchemist a 2 as well, because I don't think it deserved a 1, but I was very close to give it a 1 until I liked parts in the ending more, by the way. But again, the ending was too short. So 2 for both of those, 1 to unhaul both of them, which means that we are also, in theory, sorry, I'm getting up here. We are, in theory, then also unhauling this, because why would I keep this if I'm not going to keep the sequel? But they are, I'm just going to say, rare in a way that they are older Fairlight editions that I didn't make that many of, because Fairlight wasn't as popular back then. I don't care, man. The books aren't that good, so I don't want it. But we completed that, which is great. And I gave that a 2, and I'm like, why would I keep a 2-star on my shelf? Honestly, I don't have space for that. I feel like I didn't say that much about the book, but honestly, I was exhausted after talking 4 seconds about Alchemist. So in theory, we are unhauling that as well. And then the next one, where the challenge is, still for the weaknesses box, this is Maximalist, read a book that doesn't fit on your shelves. And for that, we need to go into my other shelves that I rarely show on my channel, because they are in the apartment. So we need to go in there and get the book. I have started it, but not finished this one. So I'm gonna stop this and see you in a second. We are in an apartment. It was so dark, I was trying to take on lights, and I feel like it didn't really work. But we're in front of my shelf, and here is where I have all my Schwab books. Look, that light went off because it's automatic. This is because I have 2 shelves in here. I have the one I'm standing in front of and the one you can see back there. So I have my Schwab, and because I'm clear in here to have them all together, but it means that you see them really rarely. And I'm going to turn the camera. There's a mess here. For some reason, I have all these receipts here, because like they're the receipts I feel like I need to keep, but now it's been so long I need to go through them and throw them. Why is this here? This is an empty package of gum. I'm going to throw it. We also have my cute pandas in here. And then there's other just shit in these shelves. Ignore that. But here is my Schwab. And what we are actually picking for this is this one. So it says a book that doesn't fit in the shelves. Now I see the ironic thing here is that this does fit in my shelves in a way that it is in the shelf, like it's in the actual shelf. So it does fit there, but it doesn't fit in the row. And in theory, it doesn't fit on top either. Wait, I'm gonna, like it doesn't fit on top either. I have a lot of Schwab, okay? So I'm counting it for the challenge, even though someone would say it does fit, but it doesn't fit. You get what I mean? Okay, we have our book. I have started it on audio. I haven't actually owned it that long, because it was like a book that only was available for a long while in only US paperbacks and download those. And then in UK they released this one after Schwab got more popular, which is like a collection of all 3 in the trilogy. And this one, I have, as I said, started, I am 53% into the audio. I'm gonna turn off the lights again and leave. And it follows Arya, who is a guardian angel, but she's not like gonna save your life, she's saving you future past. Basically, the first one we have our main character that was sad because her brother is sick, and like she feels very invisible because like they only care about her sick brother and not her. And then now I'm in the second one where a girl is being bullied, and then like she's trying to help her basically, and it's really, really sweet. It is like a middle grade, and it's obviously like it is 600 pages, but I mean, I haven't actually read it physically, but the font is huge. And then like it is 3 books in one, but obviously only 1 book goes out of my TBR since I have the bind up, so it only like is 1 book on there. But yeah, we are 53% into this one. But what are we reading now? Because I'm not gonna listen to this now. And now I need to go back to my library and pick out the book that I'm actually gonna read with my eyeballs right now. But this one was the next one that I'm in the middle of, and I'm hoping to finish tomorrow. We are back. And I must say that that will not be the last time we are in that short shelf for this vlog, because I keep forgetting that I have some books that I haven't read. But we are gonna knock some out for this, which is really good, because I'm using Libib obviously to have an overview of my TBR. So it really helps to go through there and be like, what is the oldest books I had for a really long time? We are at the top of my shelves, where there's lots of books that you never see because they are at the top of my shelves. And we are at the top here because we need to find the next book for this vlog. And I feel like it is hidden behind here, which here is a mass, as you can see. Look, it is in there. If I can get behind her. Why did I hide them away when I hadn't finished them? Only past Sandra can answer for her crimes like this. We are gonna have this one. Can I just lift and take it? My nails probably... Oh, we can... I'm not smart enough for this. Why are they so uneven? Look at them. Why are they like that? Maybe because I tried to do this earlier. Okay, we have the book. I'm going to talk about it in a moment, but I need to, I need to take the books back in place because we can't have it like this, guys. Wait. That is not correct. And this is just other editions of these books that I have. And I have a lot of questions for my decisions on this. It happened, guys. Did I just hear something fall? A nail fell off. I lost it in the war. Look, it fell off right now. I have some problems with the glue I used. Look, my nails are usually good and they stay on for like a week plus. But these have been falling off since I took them on. Not yesterday, but the day before. It's very annoying. But I will fix it. Where did I put the book? I put it behind me. Jeez, I was just like, did we do all of that for nothing? We'll not lazy in the progress here. Okay, let's settle back where we were. And yes, I could have found all of these books before this clip. It's so much more fun to do it with you, I think. I hope you think the same. Superman, Dawnbreaker by Matt De La Pena. A couple of years ago, Lee Bardugo, Sarja Maas, Mary Lou, and Matt all wrote one superhero book each. This is like the hardcover things that they're out of print, so I will keep them and I have joined them in like a different, I was gonna say, some I enjoyed a lot, some I enjoyed fine. I never read the last one because obviously this was also about author that was not known as the others, and it's also about Superman, who I'd like, Batman is my favorite, and I'm like, Superman, do I care? YA books with these different superheroes, and I'm gonna read this. This was on my TBR for a long time. As I have said now many times, I was trying to take all the books on my TBR, even though in theory Everyday Angel has not been that long, but it is a book that I should have read 100 years ago, as it is Rob. This is now my eyebrow read, which I would see, I think I can finish it today. It's not even 4 yet, and we are still on sprints, and there's still a readathon, and it's only like 300 something pages. I think it's very doable. I can do this today. And then whatever the next book is, I will talk about when I finish this. I don't have that high hopes for it, but at least I knock it out of my TBR. Most important thing right now. Hello. I've realized I never said what like challenge Superman was for. I just picked it out of my shelves. But it is Another Weakness mini boss, and it is #1 Hater, a book you have low expectations for. And in reality, I did. Like, I didn't really enjoy the last one, which was Catwoman, Soul Stealer by Sarja Maas. I actually read that earlier this year as well. I didn't really have high expectations for this, especially since it's Superman. I think he's a bit boring, etc. But it is really about him like finding out where he comes from and like coming more into his powers, etc. and becoming like the hero he is. Like the others also were like hero original stories for like when they were young. And I think actually it was pretty fun. Like, I don't hate Superman. I just said I think he's a bit boring superhero, but he's still fun. I do like an overpowered person. So I think that it wasn't terrible. I like had a more enjoyable time with it than I thought it would. It's an easy read. I enjoyed etc. the book. Like, it wasn't terrible. I'm giving it a 3. As I said, I am keeping this, so that wasn't a surprise. And honestly, like, yes, I had low expectations for it because, again, I think I gave Catwoman Soul Stealer, the last one, a 2 because that one was just so uninteresting, but this one was short to the point, etc. And the author of this is Mexican, if I'm not incorrect, because the author had another book with something Mexican in the title. Mexican White Boy was the title. So the author, I think, brought forward like racism a lot on the page and like how some people were treated in this small town. And I was like really surprised by this. I don't know why, but I was just like surprised that it was so prominent in the story. Obviously, Superman stands up for the people that are, I was going to say, in disadvantages in society and helps people. And obviously racism is a huge problem in our world. So it's interesting to see, obviously it should be something that Superman thinks about and is aware about and, like, I was going to say, fights against. And I thought that was interesting that it was so prominent in the story, because I feel like, at least the movies I've seen, it has not been. So I thought that was a good choice from the author, etc. And again, that pleasantly surprised me. So it was more of a good surprise than I thought it would be. Now, obviously, we are still reading Everyday Angel because obviously I haven't done any progress of that since we are still in the same day and all that. But the next book is actually... Oh, something is about to fall. Tell the Wolves I Am Home. I didn't film me getting this out of the shelves. It was only in my paperback shelves. And now I feel like it's an unevenness in the vlog where I filmed getting out some books and some others. But sometimes we need action and sometimes there's no need for action here. This is the last prompt for the mini boss. I realized maybe I went a bit far doing all the mini boss prompts because it's taking apparently a while. This is Commitment Issues, and the prompt is read a book someone recommended. This is literally what someone did though, because it was the first book I thought about when I heard a prompt. Although a lot of these I picked because I know I own them the longest, but a lot of them I just picked because it was the first one I thought about, and then it's nice to get them out anyway. But I was talking with some people online about the books because that's what I do, and someone recommended this and said it was their favorite book, and then I bought it instantly, and now I feel like I'm not gonna enjoy it. I think like it fits good for a boss prompt as well, as I'm defeating this boss. It says to tell the wolves I'm home is a tender story of love lost, found, and unforgettable portrait of the way compassion can make us whole again. And I just feel like it's either going to be really touching, I will enjoy it, or I'm going to think it is too over the top and like trying too hard to hit feelings, and then it doesn't work for me. But I don't know where it will land, obviously, because I haven't read it. But that is the next one for this. So we see, I don't think I'll be able to finish that tomorrow, but I want to in my head. And then we see if I also finish Everyday Angel soon, so we can move on with this. I feel like I read so much for this, and then I look at the list and it's only been like 10 books. Okay, well, see you later. Hello. So I did finish this morning Everyday Angel by Victoria Schwab. So this is, as I said, 3 stories from the same angel that helps different girls in different situations. First one we had a sick brother, second one there was bullying, and third one is like pressure upon yourself from yourself and others around you, and letting go of things you might not love anymore, etc. I think that it was actually really good. I had some really good messages for young girls. And I also think that the friendships and the characters and the developments we had, like we have an angel that was just born in a way, and the way she discovers the world and friendships and hardships, but then also really good moments and how so many things in the world that is beautiful. I liked it. And sometimes I don't like things that are too on the nose, that is very much like you need to love everything, etc, etc. This one just worked really well for me because it's really great, and it feels more like, I was gonna say, almost chilled down and atmospheric in a way that I want it to be. I really enjoyed it. It's a super fast read, even though it looks super thick, because like, again, the font is ginormous. I think it had really nice moments. I teared up a bit in the end, and I ended up very much enjoying it. I feel like a couple of years ago I might have given this a 5, but it doesn't feel like a 5-star read, even though it's super enjoyable and did things very, very well. So I'm giving it a very strong 4. Obviously I'm keeping etc, but then I did read a book that didn't fit in my shelves, and we got it out of my TBR. Very, very happy. I enjoyed it so much, and not that I'm surprised because Schwab writes super well, but Schwab has just so many different types of stories, and it's really enjoyable to see myself enjoying different kinds as well. I still need to do Tell the Wolves I'm Home. This one was my audio, but I need to do another audio before going to the next one, which would then hopefully be for this vlog to speed things up. So I will let you know. Hello. I did finish Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carl Rivka Brunt, and this was, I think, as expected, not a book for me, but I didn't really know what it was about. I thought it would be some sort of like beautiful novel, and in a way I think it was trying to be, but the way it was written just felt really, really, really weird to me. So we are a book set in the 80s, and then we have our main character's uncle died, and he died of AIDS, and then she meets the dude that he was with, and then she starts like forming a bond because they both miss her uncle, obviously, and it's like supposed to be her like realizing that this person also meant a lot to her uncle, and then like they form a relationship from that. And then obviously this person is also sick, so there's that. Just the way they spoke about AIDS in this one, I get that it is written in its time. No, it's written in its time, but it's set in its time. I don't actually know when it's released. But I guess that was kind of the point. I was just a bit like, because they talked about how this dude like killed her uncle constantly, and I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. But I guess that's the whole point, is that her realizing that that is not how it works. You know what I mean? And I guess in a regard that it was sad, because it was sad that her uncle has passed. It was sad that this person that she got to know was also sick, and I guess it is about like opening yourself up to love and realization of things, etc. But I just felt like the story for me felt very flat. I didn't really care for the ongoing story, even though for me, I would think that since it had, I was going to say, such a focus in themes, I would think that I would like and be interested in this more, because it is very important, but also like, I don't know how to describe it. Of all topics, I feel like I would be more interested in this topic than other fictional topics, but it's the way it was written just felt very, for me, not emotionally connecting. So it just felt very flat because I didn't care for how it turned out, and just the tone of the story for me didn't work. While I could see other people finding a beautiful story in here, I was just a bit like, for me, I was not at all into the way it was told, and just the story didn't have that emotional impact I wanted to have. So overall, I didn't really enjoy it. Like, my personal enjoyment was very low, and I didn't really like it either. While I'm not saying that this book is bad either, I just think that for me, the way it's written and the way it was executed, it just didn't work. So I don't even honestly want to keep it either. So I think I will be unhauling this as soon as video is over and wrap up is filmed and all that, because I don't feel like I would ever want to reread it, and I don't feel like having it on my shelf. So apparently we are still unhauling here. And then I feel like I just need to go through my books again of the things I already read before this, because we can't just unhaul all of the things I read for these. We need to unhaul more. I did then complete the next one on audio, but it was a few days ago. Then I didn't know I was going to do all the mini boss prompts, and then I went ahead, you know, and then gone to the next one while I was reading. And now we did all the mini boss prompts. It came later here. This was for the prompt, because now we finished all the mini bosses for now. It was to read a book with magical elements in it. And then this I picked out from just looking at the books I added the first in a little bit. I ended up reading Moonflower by Casey Calendar. We did have sort of magical animals in it, so it did work. I did read it on audio, and it was very beautiful. We have a main character that is struggling a lot. Basically, they are depressed. And then they can go into this dream sphere. And I don't generally like books where we just have like a dream world, but in this one it worked in a different way, so I did enjoy it. But basically, they go there, and then they think if we do certain things in the dream world, they will feel better. And they're just struggling to, I was going to say, communicate. They decided to not speak. The mother's very worried for them. The mother's trying to like get them therapy, etc. And they're just very sad and depressed. And through this dream world, they're trying to realize things about themselves and about how they're feeling, etc. I think that the way it was done, it was very beautiful. I'm getting goosebumps, honestly, because it was just done for me. Since we're comparing it to the other one, like emotionally, I really felt with our character. And there were so many different like things brought up in the story of how they feel about themselves, of how others feel about them. But the most important thing is how they feel about themselves. And I thought it was just so beautiful. The synopsis actually say, Moon's depression is overwhelming indeed. But sometimes stories like this can become, for me, a bit like, sometimes like too on the nose, too up there, too like trying to make you look in a different way. Not like look on the outside, but I meant like how you look at the world in a different way. But then sometimes it just works, and I think like this was done beautifully, and I feel like it hit the emotional things I wanted it to hit. I feel like this is a book I could recommend to people, and I overall just very much enjoyed it. But I really enjoy Case and Calendar in general. They write stories that I really feel for, and they did it again here. So again, I strong 4 out of 5 stars for this one, and it was a great like short, really good audio, and I had it for a while, so I'm glad I got it off my TBR. The font is huge, but there's kind of like a magical fight there, because there is magic in the book, so I think that definitely it fits for having magical elements, because there's definitely like, I was going to say, while it is in theory about Moon and their, I was going to say Eden side, there is still magical elements definitely present in the story, so it fits for the prompt. Cover the next prompt, which is read a book with gold on the cover. I am going to read Gilded, because honestly, how much more gold do you want? Honestly, it is a naked furrowed edition, but my expectations at this point are very low, because I don't know if I will like it. I'm going to read this on audio, because I just decided to do so. I feel like I will enjoy it more if I do. So I'm going to read this. Woohoo, shiny. I'm not going to read that physically right now. I need to first finish my other audio, which is not for this vlog, which I have like half left of. Then I will start that one, hopefully today. Then is to read a book you keep putting off, which is the prompt after. Then I'm going to read Cursed by Mary Mayer, which is the sequel. This is silver, and they match, and they're pretty. A part of me wants to not enjoy them, because then I can get rid of them. Even though I like them, but I don't love them as I loved them when I got them, you know what I mean? But if I love them or really enjoy the stories, I will obviously keep them. It's really funny. I just feel very differently about books lately, and I think it's very ironic. But obviously I'm not going to listen to that after I listen to that one. Those 2 prompts are covered, but with audio, because I just decided, because that is the most likely way I will enjoy that book. So I'm making it easier for myself. So then we need to jump like to the next prompt after that for me to read something with my eyeballs, and that is to read a book set in another time. Could have read Tell the Wolves I'm Home, actually, because that was set in the 80s, but we are doing something else. We are reading The Ship Beyond Time by Heidi Heilig. This one is a ship and it travels in time. So it definitely will fit for the prompt. I don't know where we're going, but in the last and first book, we traveled like in many different times. So it definitely counts for the prompt if we still do that here. That was about a girl on the ship. And then they're trying to find her mother in time or save her. And then a lot of things happened and it was a bit confusing. But it was cool. I just don't know how I feel about this one. It's a while since I read the first one as well, so there's that. And I don't know if I will keep them, but I would definitely want to finish this duology up. It literally starts in 1884 in chapter 1, so we are definitely in another time. Then if we're comparing, I assume when they say another time, it is another time than 2025 or contemporary time. That will be my eyebrow read. And then obviously I might complete that before the audios and then we will go on, but I will let you know whatever comes down. So see you now. Hello. So I did finish, let's look at it, The Ship Beyond Time by Heidi Heilig, and I didn't really like it. I don't really have a lot to say. Honestly, like the first one was fine, I think, as a standalone, and I enjoyed that, where we travel in time and we try to do this thing in a way in time, and then like it kind of like came together and was really nice. I honestly did not see the point of this. This sounds really mean, but it's the truth. I was just like, what are we even doing? I felt like we were doing nothing, and I felt like it didn't have like the nice like woven story that we had in the first one, and I just didn't care for the characters and the ship we were on or like what was happening. So for me, it just felt flat. Like I've been reading a lot of older stuff on my shelves like this past year, so I read a lot of things that I haven't loved. And I was surprised that I didn't feel anything for this, honestly, because I thought I enjoyed it more. I am ending up and holding this. I don't think I just need to keep this at all because I would never read it again. I necessarily need to keep everything I read again, but I will at least want to keep things I enjoy, and I don't want to keep this. But yeah, it was just very boring and I didn't care, so I don't really have more than that. But I am unholing, but I did get it out of my TBR and I did finish the duology, even though it had no reason to be a duology. And I'll be picking my next book, but then we need to go to my Schwab shelf again so I can show you what I'm talking about. So see you there. Okay, so we are back with my Schwab shelves that is still as messy. And if you can see, we have one near witch here, we have two here, and then we also have a paperback on top. It is there, I think. And which edition are we gonna take out to pretend to read in? This one. I have 4 special. Oh, they are glued together. This is really bad, guys. So I don't even remember what's what, but this was, in theory, this is Schwab's debut. It was re-released after Schwab became more popular. Then I got all the 4 editions that was released at the time. It doesn't even have spread edges, a dot point. Special editions were apparently just different colors. And this I'm reading for the next prompt. This is for the prompt, a book I keep forgetting I have. And I definitely do keep forgetting it because I completely forgot to read it. And I own it now since the re-release. Does it say inside when it was originally released? Oof, this is signed and everything, guys. Originally released, first Titan edition 2019. Is that then still Schwab's debut? Did she not debut before 2019? I'm so confused on so many levels. No! Oh my god. It was another date further below. That was why I was so confused, because that didn't make any sense, because Darker Shade came out before 2018. It says copyright 2011, that makes more sense. Again, I bought all 4 editions. And it's a book I keep forgetting I have because I literally, again, keep forgetting I read it. Which edition is this? I got no clue, honestly. I just have loads of them, apparently. So, a book I keep forgetting I have, and then also I need to add that I have obviously added this in the bib 4 times because I have 4 editions. Because I add every single edition to have a good overview of all the books I have. And that means to be taking 4 books out of my TBR, like the shelf in the bib at least. So that means that the TBR becomes 4 books smaller. That is a lot in one book, and I'm very happy. That was also one of the reasons I chose it, that I feel like an extra boost. So I will start that tomorrow, hopefully, and read the whole thing tomorrow as well, because I think it's short. And obviously, it was written in 2011, so I'm curious to see how it will be. Hello. So I finished more things, obviously. And we finished Gilded. I'm not saying, why am I saying we? I am one person. I finished Gilded by Marissa Meyer on audio, as we know I started that. And still feel very meh about it. And I finished this yesterday. So this one follows this young girl. Honestly, I have forgotten her name. That is how it is. And she tell stories. She lies a lot, and then that gets her in trouble a lot as well. And now she has lied to the king of like the ghouls and the ghosts and like the come and take people. I would almost call them the wild hunt. And then she has lied and said she can spin gold, and then this like ghost shows up, and then she has to like give him stuff so he will spin gold for her, because it is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. And if you know with Rumpelstiltskin, you know that Rumpelstiltskin takes people's firstborn children in his deals. And then she's trying to figure out like, what is people in this castle, why they are taking people, how do she get out of the lies she has created for herself. There is deep consequences to her lies as well, and then there's darker sides to a lot of things going on, etc. But then also some hope and love as well. I thought that as a fairy tale retelling, it is fine. I think that, I guess the best part that I liked was her coming there, and like the tale she spun, and like the idea of this like evil king and the like secrets behind it. But then there's a lot in between when she just kind of goes around and talks to other people. And then obviously she brings a lot of people into danger with her lies as well. But at the same time, if she hadn't done that, she would have been dead. So like survival instinct there. But at the same time, in overall, while there were aspects of the story I thought was interesting and fine, it is just very, very like, I don't know really how to describe it. I'm having a hard time describing how I feel always apparently, but it's more not in a way that it is predictable, but it's very like, it's like this, and then it overexposes what it is about and the things happening. Like it over explains everything, so the reader's like with us. And I feel like, yes, it is a YA, so I get that, but I just feel like I felt the YA of it coming to haunt me. But it doesn't mean that the book itself is like the Bristol Keys one. That one I felt like was an adult, but I felt like we were following the way it was written. It felt like a teenage book. And it was really, really weird. But that was a different kind of vibe. Well, this one actually had darker themes, etc. It doesn't really talk about the best way either, but that is besides the point. It's more like the way it's just like overtelling things to you, and I feel like it's a bit much for me. And then I just feel like the story isn't that interesting. I was just reading and I was just waiting for caring a lot. I just never felt I got to that point, and I just felt like I didn't care. Her name is Cyrilda, so it's no wonder I didn't remember it. And also if you read in this, it's very like, I don't know if you can hear that sound, but it's not an easy book to read. And if you read Axel Sprout Edition, to say it like that, it's too gold. They spin gold though, so there's that. And then we ended up in a place where I didn't 100% expect it, but I thought that was a bit exciting. But it was also like, it just never ended. I was like, okay, we made this thing now. The book should be over now. And I just kept going chapter after chapter, like overdoing this thing, and I was just like, please let it be over. And then it finally ended, and I just ended up feeling meh about the whole thing. I'm giving it a like 2.5 or like a 2. I rounded it down to a 2, which initially is not great, and it doesn't seem like I would want to keep a 2-star book, right? But I'm holding off deciding what to do with it, because I still think it's a bit ugly, you know, and I just don't know if I want to keep it. And we have started book 2, the Cursed, obviously, because that is my next audio. So I have started that, and we'll probably finish that within the next few days as well. I did read all of Gilded yesterday because I had a lot of audiobook time, but won't have that much audiobook time the next few days at least. So we shall see how it goes. I feel like my reviews are just so vague sometimes because I don't know how to describe anything. This is why I dropped out of English studies. And then I also read the next book, which is not this one. This is the next book, which I will talk about soon. But I did read The Near Witch as well. Honestly, it is really weird because we had like kind of a small time kind of vibe with witches, a bit in Cursed, and then we kind of, I felt like we were doing it again here, but without like the overarching plots, but like the little part where we had a witch in Cursed. I was just like a little, or Gilded, I mean, sorry. It's really weird because this physical is 350 pages. The Kindle was 250, and I just don't understand because they usually match. I'm very confused. This is about a witch. I was just going to see what it actually says. It is about a witch, and you tell stories about a witch, and it's like to frighten children, and then like children starts disappearing. And it's really funny because the dots very much match with stuff in Gilded as well, because people disappear because of the hunt thing. So it is no weird that I found those vibes similar. However, the writing here was just so good. And this is, as I said yesterday, Schwab's tribute. And I think it was just so good writing. It was just delicious and good. And I really liked the atmosphere and enjoyed the story. Still don't understand the page count, but okay. And the like little short story was really well done as well. I just think that the vibes of V. Schwab's writing fit really well in a short story sometimes. Not that 350 is that short, but like this one just managed to be very concise, but with like the good, lush fairy tale-esque telling. Same with, for example, Gallant. I think it's a short but really, really good well-written book. But for example, Burial Bones in the Midnight Soul also have V. Schwab's some of the best writing, but it was just very poetic, and I was like so long. It's like 550 pages, so it needed to be for me cut down to like really have the nits of it. I feel like here it worked really well for me. I enjoyed the vibes. I enjoyed the magic in it. Obviously, I could feel like a bit of like the debut vibes where like Schwab is more of an experienced writer than they were obviously here, but I still enjoyed this a lot, and I'm giving it a 4, which is great because honestly we needed a win. This town we're gonna fall eventually, maybe. Dan, you did get spoiled on the next read, which is Siren Queen. This is just a side quest for the readathon because obviously we are doing all of the prompts, or we're gonna try to as long as it is possible. We are already on the 19th of December. I've been slacking off. So the side quest is to read a lesbian book or a Sapphic book. This one is that because that's what Nevo writes in all of her books. She has very beautiful writing. Very excited to see what Siren Queen will be. Are we now? Why do I get 1920 as well from the cover? Don't actually know, but I guess we will find out. So I'm going to read that now. Actually, hopefully we finish that today. We'll see if we can start the next one. Yay! Hello, hello. It is a bit later, and I did finish and read and finish Siren Queen by Nevo. This one is set like 1920s to 30s, and we follow a young Asian girl that wants to be an actress. And then there's a lot of basically gross man that tries to manipulate this. She does manage to like come into her own, I think, and like show what she has, which obviously the way she has to prove that is another matter, but it's all about her becoming a star. In the beginning, we like already know she becomes one, and then we go back in time and like tells a story of a bit of Hollywood, a bit of its time. It gives a good vibe. It reminds me a bit of Evelyn Hugo. And then I think the writing from Nevo in general is very poetic and very well done in general. I think it was a gripping story, and the writing, as I said, was good. Obviously it was Sapphic as well. I think that played really well in my head, to say it like that, and like the scenes and the drama, etc. And then obviously lots of gross scenes as well. Like not like overly gross, but gross things in the story as well. And I did enjoy it a lot, actually. I didn't know I was going to like it as well. That's the reason I ought to buy Nevo's books, because I know I'm going to like them. And I think that obviously the theme of race, the theme of sexism in Hollywood, etc. and in general were prominent. And then obviously the queerness of it as well. I don't know what else to say, honestly. I really, really personally liked it. I like the story, the themes, the rest of it. But for a second, I thought it was a fantasy book because we mentioned magic. And then I was like, was it magic? Because then like those parts of the story very much like disappeared. And I was just like, did I just imagine them? But I thought it was a fantasy because the author generally writes fantasy. I'm very confused. I'm gonna check. Because now I was just like, what genre was this? Because then the fantasy parts kind of were a bit lost to me. But it was a bit like that in the other book by the author as well. The Beautiful and Something. I just want to check the genres this is tied with. No, it does say fantasy, historical fiction, magical realism, which was like for a few moments. Okay, because I needed to check that because I was just, wait, it wasn't a fantasy, right? The Chosen and the Beautiful was like, that is obviously a Greg Gasper retelling. I'm gonna just check it fast. Yeah, that was like more a fantasy, but like the fantasy elements were so small. So I was just thinking that if it had fantasy elements in this one, they were very small as well. Very much enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars, knew I was going to like it a lot. Then for my next book is to pick out a book out of a random selection of 5, which I did right before this. This is the 5 books we have. Oh, I don't know why we're on this upside down. There's Gigi. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. She's just walking straight forward again.
Well, she picked that one.
Amari. Thank you.
Have treats on there. We should have had treats on there. I'm sorry, Judy.
That was very, very, very chaotic because we didn't have treats for the dog because she randomly just came with the dog and I knew I was going to go to the dog, but then the dog was there. So then I just didn't bother doing it after. But I'm still counting it because the 5 books, by the way, that was there, I didn't pick up myself. I made Erica come in a few days ago in my room and like just pick things on the shelves that she saw, and then she just asked me if I read it or not, or I confirmed if I read it or not, and then like if I said no, we did that until we had 5 books. So I had no power over those 5 books that were there, except for the fact that I do obviously have 2 brow books hidden, so it was harder for her to get to those. But still, I have so many, it doesn't matter. And the one that Gigi first went to was Amari and the Despicable Wonders. This is the 3rd book in Amari series. It's basically the supernatural investigations, and then we have a main character who joined after her brother were involved and she wants to find out what happened to her brother. It's a really, really cool world, really, really cool characters, and very magical and fun, really great series. So obviously this is the 3rd one, and I bought it at once, but I have not obviously read it. When did I buy this? In September 2024. The receipt was inside. That's why I love having the receipt inside, because it is really, I love to open a receipt and see when I bought them. I have only done a bit like recent purchases, etc. So I went there for a little bit, but now I'm gonna finally read it. So then I was caught up in the series as well. So I don't think it matters that much how randomized I was with the dog. As long as I read something on my TBR, that's the most important thing. And I feel like this was as random as it could get because I just wanted no power over it whatsoever. Didn't choose the 5 books. The dog walked straight forward, but it worked out. So that's going to be my read for tomorrow. But then I do have some other reading plans live. So we will see what I get time to do. Obviously, I did, as I did mention, start Cursed, but I haven't finished it or anything. So updates on that later. But love a randomized prompt where I don't have to make any decisions. But I have decided on almost all of the rest of the TBR. But I love a mix of different kinds of TBR. Hello. I love that yesterday I literally brought all my books into the living room and I was reading so much yesterday so that I could update between every book, and I didn't update a single time. So here we are the next day. We have finished many things and we are very happy about it because honestly I've been feeling behind all month and now I finally feel good. But let's start on the thing I finished actually today to go in order, because today, this morning, I did finish Cursed by Marissa Mayer, which obviously was my audio, and then we did read like 3 more after this that we already talked about, and then even more after that. This again, the sequel to Gilded, and we have our main character still spinning all these tales and then trying to defeat this, I'm just gonna call him a demon king kind of creature. And then there's spirits, there's tales, there's fairy tales woven in, there's gods, there's babies, there is hunters, there's monsters, there is kind monsters, many different things. I feel like what I have decided and realized, and the reason why this book didn't work that well for me, is that it was too many things at once in a way. Like, it was just doing a lot, and I get that because the book is trying to make things happen constantly. We always have like some sort of action going on, as obviously to make the book exciting and fun for a reader to like follow and be like, oh my god, a lot of this is happening, and that is why like the book is fun and good. And I think in one perspective, if I read it a bit younger, when I love YA in a different way, I think I would have eaten it up maybe more and really enjoyed it. But now it was just felt like a never-ending soap opera, just never ended. There was always a plot, there was always something else, there was always another plan on top of another plan that just, in theory, maybe is fun and cool, but I just got really tired of it. And it was like almost like exhausting because we never had any quiet moments, I feel, to settle down. There was always another action, and I was just like, can we just drink a beer? Not maybe a beer, because I don't know, they're quite young, etc. And I just feel like I missed that, and I just couldn't get properly into the story because something always needed to happen. But I can see parts of it being fun, but I also have reflected that I don't really like these editions either, even though, yes, I spent money on them. Why, Sandra? I hate my past self. Past Sandra. I like to speak of myself in the 3rd person. Why did I get these? Why? I have so many questions. I thought I would love them, and honestly, they're just not for me. And I have decided to unhaul, because why would I keep these? I gave them like 2.5, both of them. So there's that. And when you're putting this on top, honestly, this tower of my all the books I read for this it's not gonna like end well, so we might need to double stack it. But we finished that, and then we did read, like, we talked about the 3 next ones, and then, as we know, the next one to pick a random out of 5 was Amari, which I did finish yesterday, which was Amari going on different adventures with her friends. I think, which sounds really harsh, that this was the weakest one in the series. I don't think it had as solid as a plot or as interesting as a plot. I was just reading it and I was just like, what are we actually doing in this one? But I still love the world. I still think the overall story is super, super good, and I really love the characters, and obviously like Milligrade just has a different vibe, and this is really funny because in the Milligrade a lot of things needs to happen all the time as well, but I feel like in the Milligrade it's more whimsical, so it makes it more fun. It's not so serious or trying to be serious, and then I can't take it seriously, and here it just works. But I think it was the weakest in the series, but I still gave it a 4 because I loved it overall, but like maybe it's more like a 3.5. I didn't really have that many thoughts on that one. Like, it's a fun Milligrade. It's a really great series. Very much would recommend. We are over half now, I think. So I am hyped. There is not a lot left of this month, but it's fine. I actually finished 3 books yesterday. That is incredible. The next one was to read a book with a blue cover. And obviously I had loads of different options, but I decided to go with The Mystery of the Blue Train by Agatha Christie, because obviously it has literally blue in the title, and then there is a blue train on it. This is just the next one I need to read in Poirot, which was supposed to be finished this year and didn't happen because I dropped a lot of things I was supposed to finish to start this series instead. And this is book number 6, and if you don't know, Poirot is just a detective investigator, and then murders happen, and then we always go and interview everyone before we like settle down, and he goes through it to say like who did it and how, like nice elf movies that are very popular right now. I really like that format. I think obviously it is a bit like, I was almost gonna call it silly because it is very like, has like a very formatted thing. I think not the last one, but the day one before that twisted out of it, and it was done really, really well. This one was just very typical, I think, straightforward, with obviously twist of who it could be, etc. But it is enjoyable, and there's a reason I committed to read a whole like 43 book series. I don't really have more to say than that. A murder happened and we solved it, and then I like to follow Poirot a lot because I like him as a character. So that was the blue book I chose. And also I remember when I built this TBR, I obviously also chose it because I knew it was going to be a fast read. I feel like why I feel like this has been going so slowly is because we had so many reads that took such a long time. Or I procrastinated to start, like Alchemist. It didn't actually take that long to actually read it as I thought it would, but still I had to read other things for other things. So that's also why I feel like it taking such a long time. The next one we're supposed to read after that is Read a Book You Think Has an Ugly Cover. This one I'm about to start now on audio. So I hope to finish it today because I have like a plan of what I'm going to do after we film this. So there's hope, unless I drop the book. But I chose My Plain Jane by Cynthia Han, Brody Ashton, and Jodie Meadows. I do think that these covers are quite ugly. Like, there's just a face with a very intense font on top. Like, I never thought they were particularly pretty covers. The first one in this series is called My Lady Jane. And it's a retelling of Jane. Which Jane is it? Like, what is her name? The one, she was a queen in 3 days and then she got beheaded. And the whole like twist in this world, like this retelling world, is that some people can turn into animals, and then it's just the whole thing. And they actually made a series out of that I haven't watched yet, but I do really want to watch. Then they also made another series with Marys, like it's the same but with different Marys, and I've read one of the Mary books of Mary Queen of Scots, and then they also do crossover with My Lady Jane, which was really random because I didn't know they were going to do that, but I read that randomly because I had an arc of the audio. But I never continue with this one, and I even bought this because I got the first one in an upgrade, because I was going to read Jane Eyre, because it's a retelling of Jane Eyre. And then obviously like the whole like thing is done in a humoristic way, and I do believe if the whole like animal thing is present in all of them, I'm unsure. Then I never did, because I read Jane Eyre and I didn't like it, and then I never read this one, and it's been years. I used years finally reading Jane Eyre, and then I used years to procrastinate reading this one. So I thought it would be a great shout for this, honestly. It's been on my TBR for 100 years. When was this released? It was released in 2018. That's a long time ago. It's like 7 years ago. So this is my next audio because I did the Mary one on audio and I thought it was fun because obviously I had an arc. Remember they were releasing these every 2 years. So we have My Lady Jane and then My Plain Jane, which is the one I'm going to read now. Then there's a third one, My Calamity Jane. I don't own that and I'm very unsure if I will keep these because, well, I actually thought My Lady Jane was very fun at the time. I just see like in all the years I owned it and I've had the urge to like, what I think about it, do I have the urge to ever reread it? I don't think so, you know? But at the same time, I have thought about it a lot over the years as well. I read it apparently in 2016, so the year it was released. The other series is called The Marys, and I read one of them in 2021. That was probably, they started probably releasing those after the Jane books, I assume. This is my contrary Mary, my imaginary Mary, my salty Mary, but I don't actually know who marries. Like the last one came in 2024, which is only last year. So like they use like 2 years on each release, which is fun. But we are at least gonna read My Plain Jane and then see how I feel because I own that. So that is my next audio. Then I did read the next one after that because I skipped over My Plain Jane because I knew I was gonna audio it today. So the next challenge was to read a book with a strange animal or pets, and I chose the next Moomin book, which this one is Kometen kommer, which directly translated means the comet is coming, but I do believe it has like an official English title. This is the second book in the Moment series written by Tove Jansson. I read them in Norwegian. They're originally written in Swedish, but in Norway they are Norwegian children's books. Very few years ago, like 2 years ago, started to release them in these nice editions. So I collected all of these, but I haven't read them yet. So I thought getting some out of my TBR is very nice. It's obviously short. There was like 150 pages. And I really, really enjoy them. And Moomin is known to be in this magical world in the Moomin Valley, and there are so many weird like creatures and animals, etc. there. Here they think, or they can see a comet is coming, and that is like kind of the end of days. They go out on this journey to study it. They meet many different really known characters on the way, because I never read the official books before, just seen adaptations, etc. And then are they going to survive the comet? I guess you have to read the book to find out. But it's a very like fun and random adventure. Like the way children's books are written. Or I guess, is this a middle grade? Is it a children's book? I don't know how you define what. But like since the language and the way it's like, the way it's written, it is in the library. It's at least is in the shelf for like 9 to 12. So I guess like, lol, that is middle grade, right? But there is written, it's just like so random, and obviously they are illustrated, etc. And it's really like known figures and illustrations, and obviously Movement is like a massive money machine because they have so much merch. There's so many different creatures, and like in theory a Movement is not a human even though they act like a human. I was gonna say like it has many strange animals, not necessarily pets in it. We did have a kitty, but that's not strange animal, but it does definitely have a pet in it, because it says strange animal or pet. Or maybe they mean strange pet then. Well, whatever. The pet was the least strange things about it. It was one thing, they had a bathtub, and they like literally live in the middle of nowhere in like this valley, and I was like, how did they make a bathtub? That is how I question everything. Actually, how do they have anything in this house? I don't know. I love it, and I love the chaoticness of it. It's so random. The vibes are immaculate, so really, really enjoyed it. I'm very excited to continue them. We are really like digging deep into like things on my TBR, I think, and that is really great. I think that definitely fit for the prompt. Now, my next read, which I will try to read today, but we're also watching Avatar today, and that is like going to take half the day because it's so long. But the next challenge is just free space. That means that you can choose anything you want. And I have chosen Authority by Jeff Vandermeer, which is a sequel to Annihilation. I cannot say that word. I really struggle with it. But this is a sequel, the second book in series, which I do have matching to my first pink one. And then I changed the covers for the fourth book. So that's great. And the reason I decided to read this now is because Lumicore just announced a set of the whole series. Southern Reach series, all the 4 books, and I love the set. It's gorgeous, and I really, really, really like the first book, okay? But I just have this track record where I don't like the rest of the series in some series, and I don't want to own a super pretty special edition set if I don't like the rest. So my challenge is now to read this. I put the third one also on my TBR, which we will see here soon, so that I can read these now this month, and then next month see if I actually want that set, because then at least I finish like I don't have the fourth book, but then at least I finished the trilogy, and then I can decide if I want the set because it's stunning. So I think that that is really great of me to do, and I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like this Area X has shown up. Scientists and stuff go in there to explore it, and then they keep disappearing, and they keep like ending up weird places and not remember what happened in there. And then we are a new team going in there, and then we're like trying to, I was gonna say, see what's in there. And it's a mystery. It's almost like thriller like, but then also have supernatural things happening in there. I watched the movie and I did enjoy that as well. It's like a whole fever dream. The first book was also really good, but it's a little while since I read it. But I don't feel like I need to reread that to read this one. It's also much thicker because the first one was small. Wait. I say much thicker, and this one looks huge, but it's only 300 pages. I guess the pages are just very thick, because this looked so much more than 300 pages, I'm saying. So that is my next read. Now you know that. You know my next audio. See you soon. I was like, oh my god, it's Christmas. I should switch to my Christmas Udi. And then this is much thinner. So Mike actually likes this one, but also it's so much thinner and smaller. And it's really weird because I thought it was ginormous when I first got it. But it works. I finished stuff yesterday. I did finish My Plantain on audio, which is, as I said, a retelling of Jane Eyre. I think I missed a lot of themes in Jane Eyre when I generally read it, but I thought it was really annoying with, I was going to say, the ending and everything, and it seems like the authors here thought the same because they changed it and a lot of other things. And we also have Charlotte Bronte, like the author of Jane Eyre, as a character in the book. Was she always a character in the book? I don't think so. But they added her as a character. And in this one, we don't have people turning into animals. We do have ghosts. But Jane Eyre is kind of a ghost story, and it always has been. So there's that. And I guess I just assumed in my head that the different books was going to have like the animal, people turning into animal thing. Because in the other My Lady Jane and in My Imaginary Mary, both of those had the animal aspect, and I guess it's just that I re-entered that world in those two, and those two were the ones I read. I don't know if that's a thing also in the other Jane book, and like what kind of developments they have that one in the third one, which is now really annoying that I don't have. In one hand, it's good because I save money. On the other hand, it's annoying because now I'm going to forget that I never read the third book in that series. But I think I concluded I'm fine with not owning it. Here's the thing that I thought about My Lady Jane over the years with the whole horse thing, and I think it's a very fun book of its time. Like when I read it, I really enjoyed it, and I read it like in a year of release, I think. So I feel like that was a good place to read it. I just feel like I'm never gonna want to reread it, and if I do really want, I could borrow it anyway. I don't feel myself wanting to keep the first one and this one on my shelves. And then I feel like then I would have to buy the third, and I just don't feel like that is the correct choice. So I'm gonna unhaul both of them, but that's really sad to say. Usually when I say unhaul things, they need to lie in a pile for a really long time until I have enough books to do an unhaul. So if I change my mind, I can change my mind. I enjoy this fine. I gave it like a 3. It was an okay ride. Like the way it writes, it kind of like the author breaks the fourth wall. They talk a bit to you. It's very like humorous and fun, and I feel like the way this was written now, I didn't think it was as fun, but I thought that My Lady Jane was great, and that is an honest thing. Maybe, honestly, the answer here is to keep My Lady Jane, that one alone, because that is the fun one, and then get rid of this, because I don't need this. And then I can borrow the third to read that. That is maybe a better conclusion. I need to think on it. Overall, a fun story. Don't know the last Jane. I remember Google it a while ago, like who the last Jane, who that is, and I'm like, I don't know who it is, I think. Then I also did finish Authority by Jeff Vandermeer. Yes. And this one I did not enjoy as much as the first one. First of all, we are set very much of the story in a different place, and then it just wasn't as interesting. I just feel like it didn't engage me as well, even though we were talking obviously a lot about Area X and like things and theorizing about it. It wasn't focusing it in the same way. It didn't feel like the same vibes, even though we are obviously continuing and like talking about different things and all that. I just didn't think it was as interesting as the first one, because like we kind of doing a completely not separate thing, because it is about that, but we're not engaged with Area X in the same way. And I'm like, that is kind of what is intriguing about it. We will see how it concludes in the third one, but like I didn't hate it. I gave it this a 3 as well. Maybe my play Jane got a 2.5 honestly, but I do believe I rounded up to 3. So this is also getting a 3, which is not looking great if I want to buy a special edition set of it. But again, we should see how the third one holds up. So that was those 2 I finished yesterday. I am on a good trajectory right now, and I did move my pile of books over there on a chair. You can barely see it because honestly I felt like my desk was falling apart with the weight. So that was not good. Now, the next challenge is to do another mini boss. This mini boss is strength and not weaknesses like the last one. And we are still doing all 5 of the challenges for the mini boss. Because why not when it is the 21st of December? First strength mini boss prompt is TBR of Peace, which is to pick a TBR book at random. And I'm like, oh, how am I gonna do that? Because I don't have a updated list anymore. And then before, when I did, we could randomize from the bot like a number, and that worked, but I can't do that anymore. I don't have that list anymore like I did back in the day, because I just bought so many books. Honestly, I have a little idea. Remember in the last episode we randomized a letter. We can still do that, but also we're gonna only have 1 book this time. Then from that letter we can randomize a number in that letter and we read that book. So I have no control of what we're reading, which is what we enjoy. Obviously if we get a letter and there's 1 book there, we're gonna read that 1 book. That is how it works. Let's spin the wheel first. I'm a bit scared, honestly. We got C, and then hopefully this is actually recording, or else you just have to take my word for it. Let's press C. I'm a bit scared. We had also a very early letter in the alphabet last time. How much do we have? We have loads. Oh my god, we got all of the Agatha Christie, and I just read that as well. I actually hope we don't get the Cassandra Clare, because that is... I can move things. Remember, I can move things if I really don't want to read it now. But I really just hope we get a Poirot, honestly. How do I... Now I need to math and everything. This is a whole thing. Honestly, if we had gotten this one last time, that would have been a lot. So, we got 5 rows of books, then it's 9 in each row plus 3, so that's 48. There is a huge chance we can get Poirot. That's what I'm hoping for. Are we gonna get Poirot though? Probably not. So let's see. We are generating now. Did we generate? We did. We got 14. Oh my god, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 11, 13, 14. I counted again and now it's not correct anymore. This 14. Wait, this is 14. I can't count. 14 is Crimson Crown. I'm actually fine with this. It was actually on the series I needed to finish this year as well. Crimson Crown. Or I mean, it's the Crimson Crown, the 4th. They're not in order in series here, so we just need to take the actual 3rd book in the series. They're right here on my TBR cart, if you can see that. Because I was supposed to finish them this year. Because they were chosen out in series I need to finish randomly. Crimson Crown is book 4, so we're not reading that. We are reading book 3. Obviously it still counts, because obviously I can't read book 4 before I read book 3. So like it is the one chosen in a way at me accounting it. So we're gonna read this. I actually did read the 2nd book earlier this year and read the 1st one last year, and I did really enjoy. Didn't enjoy the 2nd one as much. Hopefully I'll enjoy this more. So this will be today's read. It is thicker though, and I'm happy because I didn't get other certain things I didn't want right now. And now you should see me later, and I'm gonna let you know how it goes later. Okay, so it's Christmas Eve, so I'm wearing my Christmas thing. I finished more things yesterday, so that was what I wanted to tell you before I go to eat some Christmas porridge, and then I want to watch some Christmas movies. But I did finish The Grave of the Throne by Cynthia Williams Chima. Again, that was the randomized books, and it was fine. There is like politics a lot, etc. It's a really long book, but I felt a bit, I was going to say bored. I feel like it was really long and it was a lot of like elements, but they weren't made interesting, because I just think that it didn't manage to do that. I forgot to say that it's about, first we have a perspective of this princess that is very sheltered, and then this dude that maybe has magic, but maybe he doesn't have magic. His like origins are really like, we don't know all about it in the beginning at least. So a lot of the story starts out there, and I think the first book was really interesting. The second book became a bit boring, and this one was also just a bit boring. I just feel like there is many elements to it, but I just feel for me it's not as engaging in the first one. I really liked the setup, and I was really like engaged and immersed, and I feel like I haven't been able to be that immersed since the first one. Maybe it's just a me problem, and like the way I can't really like get into a book I feel like lately, but then I do, and then I'm like, oh, this is fun. So I don't know if it's a book or me, honestly. There was things that were happening, and I was like, I am interested to see things play out, and I do care for the characters, etc. I just think that it also was a bit boring, and I ended up giving it a 3, but so far I really like the setup of the first one, even though that one went into many more typical elements. I still really enjoyed it. Then I read the next one. We are still on the mini boss, and the next one for the mini boss, what was the actual prompt called? Let's see. It is just called Curse Survivor, and then this is free space security. So I took the opportunity for the free space to read Acceptance, which is the next in the Southern Reach. Not a trilogy anymore. This one just is the third one in the series. I feel like it still didn't manage to capture me. Look, I'm having troubles here with sequels, as you can tell. Maybe I'm just having troubles with my reading, I don't know. But I just feel like it still didn't manage to capture me as the first one did, where we really went into like this almost like fever-like state, which I normally don't even like in books, but it worked really well in that one. And I feel like, yes, the elements from the first one were more prominent in this one, and then we did have things from the second one coming together. I still think it is an interesting concept, an interesting book, but I just feel like, again, I couldn't get completely into this as I did with the first one. Maybe I was just a different kind of reader than that. Now I'm just a mess. But I still really thoroughly enjoyed it. And like, I'm still debating the set. I just can't decide, because I gave this like a 3. And I'm like, do I want to buy a special edition set of a 3-star book? I can't decide. Now I feel like I need to read a 4th, like one that I don't own, because I was either way, I was going to buy that in the paperback to match this. But then they won't even match since it is the new covers, and I have these in the old ones. And I actually kind of like the very like intense color in these, even though the new ones are really pretty. But I want to unhaul the trilogy to buy the new ones in paperback. That seems silly. But I like the concept of like this weird place and not really like getting proper answers, etc. I just still didn't find it like incredible, blowing my mind either. So landed like on a 3.5. A bit the same feelings on this. I don't know what's happening. But I forgot to bring the next book out, so I need to go and get it. I realized I could have brought you, but I didn't. The pile for the books for this that I moved is about to fall, and I'm not too lazy to fix it to 2 proper piles, so I just took some on the floor. We have the next one. We're still on the strength mini boss. This one is called Minimalist. Read a book you think you will unhaul. And I literally am still just using Libib. These were some of the first I added, so I'm just taking those because they're on the bottom. Even though I definitely have things in the middle there that I owned for much longer than us. But one of the first ones I saw was Son of Blood and Ruin by Merely Laris. I got this in adult Fairloot, and I haven't heard great things. It is pretty. Like, I do really like the bird here. Pretty art. Dang, this is much better than I remember. This is a really long time since I looked at it, because it's kind of just been vibing in my shelf. And I want to say I will like it, but I just heard, I feel like, especially how I feel right now with books, I feel like I will read it and not really care. So then I think it will be an on-haul. But obviously it can't surprise me, and I will love it. And then I get you to keep this. So that was my pick for that one. Again, don't really know anything about it, but we will figure it out. We can talk about the next one later or something, because I need to read that one first anyway. Now I'm gonna go watch Christmas movies, so see you later. Here I am, so happy. I'm filming updates for all my things, and then forgot the main vlog. We finished yesterday Son of Ruin, which was a book I thought I would DNF, and it was true. Didn't really give anything. It is very gorgeous, but goodbye. I don't even know how to describe it. We have a thief in like Spain. Are we even in Spain? A place that is inspired by Spain. You're a thief, maybe an heir. I'll just see, well, like, how does this become described? She has magic, and then she has like this mask that is like connected to her, and then different elements that come together, and people just being like, get your shit together, basically. It was a lot of that as well. Pretty book, but honestly super boring and uninteresting. I don't think it landed anything I wanted to land. I feel like I repeat myself a lot, and I feel like that is just my life. I just was bored, and I just feel like it wasn't interesting at all. Very sad, because obviously what I found the most intriguing in this was the setting and like the culture, etc. But I feel like that wasn't enough to carry the plot that just felt very flat, and the characters that felt very flat. But again, I feel like the culture things from the author did shine through a bit, so that was my favorite things. But sadly, it would not survive, and I will unhaul it. Honestly, I didn't mean to make these, like this whole series, into like reading things I own and then unhaul them if I don't like them, but it kind of just is how I need to do my reading now, because I have too many books, if that is even possible. It also depends on how much I love the edition, because while this spread is not like the prettiest I've seen. And then also which shelf it comes from, because I have more space in some shelves than others. Then we go to the next one. We're still in the Strength mini boss, which is full of commitment. Read a book someone recommended. So we had another one of this earlier, but I don't mind. I could only remember this, or I have many actually, I'm joking, but one of the earliest ones that was at least added. This is Beast of Extraordinary Circumstance. Extraordinary, why can't I say it? By Readathon Lang. I don't actually know anymore what this is about. I bought it because I thought it looked pretty. And we have a main character who is raised by wolves. And then again, that is the longest synopsis in the world. It's on 2 flaps. It's supposed to be good, but I don't know if it will be good. I feel a bit like this of Tell the Wolves I'm Home, but that was very enough for me. So I'm hopeful that this, I own this for a really long time as well, will shine through. When was this released? I mean, I didn't buy it when it was released, but still. First edition was 2017, so it's been a while. But when I said I owned it, someone was like, that's one of the best books I ever read, you need to read it, etc. So it was definitely recommended. And we get a book out of from TBR. I also it was Christmas yesterday, right? And obviously I wish for books. So I was scared, not scared, but like, if my TBR grew, all our hard work would be for nothing. But I only added 2 more books to my TBR, which I don't think is that bad. And we are like soon down in like under 500. We are right now, if you want progress on how much we have done, we are on 520 right now. It was 518, but it's 520 now because I added the 2 books that I got for Christmas. Overall, throughout this vlog, we have only added 6 books onto my TBR because one like fairly set came in. So honestly, it wasn't completely my fault, but I've been really good at like thinking, no, I can't buy this anymore after my TBR lately. So I feel like obviously having this vlog series helps a lot. I will try to read this today and then another one as well, because now I don't have a Christmas dinner to attend. So I think it can happen. Let's see. Hello. We are, I think, nearing the end of this vlog maybe. But yesterday I did finish Beast of Extraordinary Circumstance by Readathon Lang. So this is about this boy that did used to live with wolves, etc. And then this young girl also goes with him for a short period of time. This was really because his parents died, and then he escaped into the forest. This wolf pack took care of him. And then he also do get this adopted family and then another adopted family. And then it is like him like talking back in life, or a character in relation to him is talking back about him. And then we like have flashback in like the past and then like the kind of present of like how he's doing now and like where his life went, etc. I think the parts of the story was really good. I really liked how it was written, and I liked the idea of the story a lot. I liked this idea of where he came from and like how he ended up, etc, etc. So I did enjoy it more than I thought I would, but I also think that I would have loved it. I don't know necessarily if I've loved it more before. I don't think that I loved it, but I did enjoy it. You know what I mean? I like the story for what it was. I like the different characters, because we follow, for example, like short period, he is adopted by this family, and then we follow like one of the characters that were then his sibling, and then like we see and meet them again, as well as other characters that he is in relation to again in the future, and see like how they all went up, etc. So I did like especially parts when we were growing up, but didn't love as much as like later in life when it became very like lots of different characters that wanted different things from him, etc. But I still enjoyed it, and again really liked how it was written, a lot of the atmosphere in the story. So yeah, I give it, I think, a 3. I can't decide if I should keep it or not. I feel like I want to keep it for now since I kept it for so long. Also feel like what to say, I don't feel like I need to keep it either. Because I feel like now I read it and I'm ready to let it go. So I will think on it until the end of the video. I have written it up as keep, because I feel like I enjoyed it enough to keep it. But that was yesterday, and today I'm like, but do I? So hard choices will need to be made, but It is on keep for now, at least. Then I also read the next one for this, which is again still for the strength mini boss, which is DNF Lover, read a book you're most excited for. I took that on its word and picked one of my most anticipated releases, which it is still by ACEDEMY, which is the second book in what is this? It's called the Summoner Circle series. This is following like the occult, etc. And we have these two dudes that rekindle their relationship after many years, but one of the dudes is married and they agree to like be in a poly relationship, which I think is done so well, with so much great communication and so many like really strong, good characters. The first book is about David, which is like a lawyer slash rich dude that is one of the one rekindling his relationship with the dude that's married, and like his inner turmoils, and then he's kind of haunted by this curse and I need to solve that. This was his Rissus books, which is the dude he's with, and then this is his story as there's a certain thing that happens to him in the first book, and then like he needs to come to, I was going to say, he needs to balance his life better in this one, and it's not going that well for him, as well as him like just taking too much on himself and how he treats the people he loves around him, etc. So he needs to get his shit together in that, and then it's his inner journey and like character development and see where his character will end up. The next one I think is Moira's book, which is his wife, and then I guess we will see her inner conflicts and like her developments, etc. It's a lot about their inner character development more than anything else. But as well as like the plot is not like huge, you know, it's not like the end of the world plots, but it's very like the inner things that is going on with them, as well as we have this relationship and relations between them. And I loved it. Like I love these characters so much. I love how they love each other and how they trust each other and communicate. So I gave it a 5 and I knew I was gonna love it, so I'm very excited that I got to read it. I was listening to lots of audio while working, so I did also finish Fire by Christopher Shore. This is for the next part, which is to read a book set in another world. This is obviously a fantasy world, so that is why I could pick it. One of the oldest books, I don't know what's happening. One of the oldest books on my TBR, honestly. I'm just going to take this down because it was very annoying. Bye, sun. We love you. To see you for 3 seconds. Now it got very dark, but I took my light on, so it's fine. I enjoyed Great Thing when I read this a couple of years ago. I remember very specifically I read it for Readathon when that was a thing. And I remember I bought these in hardcover, and there's a big deal of me to buy them in hardcover when I wanted them, because then I usually bought UK paperbacks, but UK paperbacks of these are so ugly. And then I bought this one for the first book was still in print, second book was not, so I had to buy this used, and then the third book was I also have to buy used if I want that. And then the authors only released a fourth book years later, and then they got new covers in the UK paperbacks, which are actually now very pretty. I do believe, I think it was Illumicrate or Fairloot that did also like the full set in hardcover as well. I didn't get that at the time, and then now I read this. We have like people with abilities, which is like kind of, it's called like a grace thing power, like you are a grace thing if you have power. People of Fire, who has like a power where she can go into people's minds and control them, and it's all about her trying to use these powers for good, because her dad was not a good person. Powers could save the kingdom if only she wasn't afraid of overcoming the monster her father was. She's also protected by lots of people. And then this is more like of a companion than a sequel. I think the story was fine, etc. It actually reminded me a lot of, I was recently in like this conversation about like fantasy. Obviously this is why fantasy, but still, but fantasy written by women compared to written by men, because there is something about dude fantasy that cannot be compared to some fantasy written by women, and that makes me sound like a hater of fantasy written by women. But there was just something about like the different focus, the different kind of world they build. There's something about dude fantasy that is very dude fantasy, and that is for some annoying reason the kind of fantasy I prefer. Obviously there are exceptions to this, etc. Like I personally love Poppy War and like Rainbow Saga, etc. Like there's a different kind of vibe in fantasy, and like here, like for example, we have a romance, etc. And like in duper fantasy, the romance is always in the background. Now, YA fantasy is a genre on its own in a way that there's always like the romance subplot. There's always about a girl finding out that she has powers, etc. And they feel very similar and never managed to reach those heights of world building. But this one just reminded me of that, like the conversation. Maybe I wasn't in it, but I was watching it definitely recently, and it was just a very interesting thing to think about what kind of like fantasy vibes with you. And I feel like this kind of fantasy vibed in me very, very well a couple of years ago. Like this one is about like two people, one of them has a power. I don't even remember what her gracing power is anymore. The grace of killing, like she can kill people. Both of these people killing, and then this one, obviously she has the like mind control thing. They both have like dark powers, and they're trying to like not let that control them. We have this dude and we go on a journey, and like the whole book is basically traveling. I remember I still did enjoy it, and I listened to audio for this one and this one now, you know, years later. I would say I didn't hate it. It had an interesting like concept, etc., but a lot of it's just like her trying to see how she wants to use her powers, and then she's being guarded, and there's drama with her guards, etc., and her friend, and then that is kind of it. And I was just like really, it was so hard for me to decide if I liked it enough to try to get the third book in hardcover. Then I realized the fourth book would match anyway, because they changed the covers, and then I was like, do I even like the series? And after all these years, I feel like yes, I do like it, but I don't know if I like it enough to hunt down a hardcover for the third one, you know? But I kept on them for years, and it's one of the series I owned the longest, which is a thing. You can also see that like the first one looks newer than the second one, because this one I bought completely new. And then I never actually read the physical because I listened to the audio. So it's like, it looks so new and nice. And honestly, I fell in love with these covers back then, but then I'm like, this just looks like any other cover ever. It's really funny. Like the sword trend, it was on here. I feel like I'm very scrambled right now, but my point is that I actually really like the UK paperbacks. If I want to keep them, I might get them, but then I'm also like, do I bother on hauling these to then buy 4 UK paperbacks? I'm like, do I? I am not sure, but I feel like I didn't like this enough, and I feel like the memories I left with for this one is more nostalgia reasons for the time it was released, for a time when Vibe Fantasy felt very different. Even though I read this years later after it was released, it was still like a very hype book that a lot of like, if you were in the Vibe Fantasy sphere, you would know about this, right? Came in 2008. That is wild. That is a long time ago. When did this come out? 2009? I feel like 2008 was yesterday, and simultaneously like 100 billion years ago. Like it's almost 20 years ago. This came in 2009. And like, yes, I did like them, but I don't know if I like, again, about hunting down a third one and keep them. I have written them up as an on-haul, because like honestly, I need space for these size of books in my shelves anyway, but it feels weird because I held on for them for so long. But I'm like, there's a reason I never got the third one, because I knew it was going to be a stress and struggle bus to get it. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, honestly. But I did read it and I gave it a 3. That was the whole point here. Just me reflecting upon my books forever here. Sorry. And then the next one I have not read, but I am going to start it hopefully today. This is to read a book you think narrator Ariadne or Hawthorne would like. I don't know the characters really well for the readathon, but Mouse did mention that one of them really liked romance. I think it was, don't know, Ariadne maybe? And I just picked a romance on my shelf, honestly. So it doesn't really matter as long as it is on my TBR. We have Beach Read by Emily Henry, which is, it is December, and it's winter, and I'm gonna read something set on a beach in the sun on a holiday, and I'm like, in one side it doesn't fit at all for the vibes, but on another side I feel like dreaming of summer, and like, I mean, low-key not, because summer sucks, but like we are dreaming of the vibes of summer, so then you can like live through that in the book. I read 2 Emily Henry. I have enjoyed them fine, and I have 3 more on my TBR I need to read, so I just picked one of them. It was either this or Abby Jimenez, and honestly maybe I should have picked Abby because I love her books more, but we are going with Beach Read. You should see me later. Hello. I feel like I'm almost on like a little readathon for myself right now, because I want to finish up all the prompts before the new year to get it up before the new year as well. We're on the 27th. Yesterday I didn't finish anything. I should have finished 2 books yesterday at least, but I didn't. So just that. The last prompts dropped today, and I was thinking, because it's like the weapons prompt in the end, that I should do all of them but only one. But I have decided to try to do all of them. That is like 10 more books or something. I mean, since I finished 2 now, I guess it's 8. And we are again on the 27th. Let's see how this goes. But I did finish Beach Read, which I did yesterday. I was going to start, or I mean the day before. I did start it yesterday. I was supposed to finish it yesterday, but I did finish it now today. This follows 2 writers, 1 holiday, a rom-com waiting to happen. It's literally what it is. And this is really interesting because earlier this year, I did read a romance that I read reviews for, and people said it was like Beach Read by Emily Henry. I think I recall that when I was reading this, because I was like, this is literally that Norwegian rom-com I read. And then I remember that I read reviews where they said the same thing, that it is like the Emily Henry book, but since I hadn't read the Emily Henry book, I couldn't compare it. But now I have, and it is literally the same thing. That other Norwegian rom-com was 2 writers, and then like she writes like rom-com romances, and she always thought that he looks down upon that, and he doesn't believe in love and all that. And now she's going to show him how to write more love or whatever in his book, and then she's also writing her book, and then obviously they fall in love. There's obviously a little bit of a emotional turmoil for her. Like, it's always the woman who has like things she has to deal with from the past, so something to do with her dad or like someone from the past or ex or something, and he has always a secret, and then that secret comes out, and yeah, it is not as much drama as I thought it would. But again, I was missing more connection with the characters. I feel like Emily Henry writes really, really well fluffy romances where it goes in a certain recipe that you do enjoy, that I enjoy, that you enjoy, that's why they're so popular. But I feel like, for example, to compare to Abby Minnis, I feel like her books, for me, everyone agree with this, but I personally like her more because I feel like the conflicts there feels for me so much more realer and more in-depth to me. So they always make me cry, but this one just makes me like, yeah, it's like watching a cute rom-com on Netflix and then I move on, and that is totally fine. Like, it doesn't need to make me cry, etc. But just feel like emotionally I'm more connected in the Abby Minnis books I read than the Emily Henry books I read, just to compare them as like 2 of the biggest like rom-com romance authors right now. But I did still enjoy it. I gave it a 3. I will read the rest of her books, etc. And now talked about that. Great work. We are very happy. I've actually also started to edit this vlog as well, to have it in hopes to get it up on New Year's Eve or the day before or something. Next up is the challenge to read a book you haven't been able to fit into a prompt yet. So I mean, like, every single book on my TBR that is not in this video, that is basically what I could have fit in here. I picked Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I feel like this seems a bit random because I wasn't intending to read any Jane Austen for this, but as I was filming this, Illumicrate announced their set of Jane Austen sets, and I thought it was gorgeous, and I really, really want it. And a part of me is like, I just got this Jane Austen set, this Wordsworth Classic Jane Austen set. It was pretty cheap. I think these editions are really, really nice, etc. And I don't think inside of me that I really need it, but I regret it a lot when I didn't get a Bridgerton set, which I then got upon reprint. So I feel like I regret if I don't get this one. But I was like, at least I should read some Jane Austen before buying this set, because like, if I hate her books, I shouldn't buy a special edition set of all her books, you know? And I read Pride and Prejudice, not this one obviously, but Pride and Prejudice, like when I was in 7th grade in Norwegian, and I was just like, I don't get it, because then I was interested in it, and obviously Jane Austen has been popular in all these 200 and what was her birthday very recently, 250 years. I was like, well, let's read some then, and obviously then I took it in the places where it fit, and it's on my TBR, so it does fit again. And this one we have a FAES sisters, and then they have like different romantic things happening, and then there's drama for why they can't be with the romantic things. I think I will insult Jane Austen fans when I say this, but it does remind me a bit of Bridgerton, but more sophisticated, and obviously, is this set a bit before or is this set in the same time? I don't know anything about historic periods right now. It has all slipped my mind, but it is just like really about men and how they mess up, and these women and how they like them, and how they're like scoundrels, etc. And it was fine. I feel like obviously in Bridgerton it is much more easily written, and it's much more like dramatic in a different way. But it was still a fine read. I enjoyed it fine, but I didn't love it like apparently everything else here. I just felt like, yes, it is written fine, etc. I did choose to do the audio because I like Bridgerton on audio. It tells it's told really well, and that is when I noticed the like huge difference in writing, because I think Bridgerton is written more easier, while obviously Jane Austen is written in its time more, what can I say, sophisticated classical language, you know? So I don't know if it would have been better or worse, honestly, to read it physically, because I honestly don't know. But I did finish it now, then I did like it. I would give it like a 3.5. I do have another Jane Austen here in this video that we're going to get to very soon, to at least have 2 in here, and I will try to read the rest before the set comes on sale. I think it is in February. But like, again, I'm not like head over heels in love. I feel like it is a book I could reread though. Like, reading it once seems very little. I know that there's a lot of humor, a lot of things in it that I might have like just like not been able to get through the audio. I don't know, but I honestly don't know either. If I was like, since I'm a bad reader lately, I'm a bad reader always, would I have been able to feel the connection if I read it with my eyeballs either? I have no clue. But I did finish it, and then I gave me a 3.5. So we tried, at least. We tried, and I didn't hate it. So that's better than nothing, you know? Now I'm still unsure on this Jen Alson set, and I'm still unsure on the Southern Reset, both by Illumgrate. We are going to start my next read, which is to read a book that you got for a different readathon or challenge. I don't have that many other things going on right now, but I did, in theory, pick out Poirot earlier this year that I mentioned to be a series I should finish this year. Obviously, I didn't do that, but in theory, it was a challenge I had for this year. So I just went with the next Poirot, which is Black Coffee by, again, Agatha Christie. This was really a play, and then it says down here in the corner, novelization by Charles Osborne, because it was really a play. So like this is book 7, but this novelization is 7.5 because I mean the actual play is 7, but I can't, I think, read a play. I have to read this novel, so I'm counting this obviously as number 7. And it's really short, like it's even shorter than the other ones, which is honestly, it's not on purpose, but it's kind of perfect that I set up a lot of big books in the beginning and now a lot of short ones in the ends, because we have just a few days left. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but hopefully we shall see what happens. Now I'm going to go and read Black Coffee and let you know what I'm reading next and how I felt, because we are going to try to read a lot today. Okay, so I did finish Black Coffee. I don't really have that many thoughts, except that it was very, very short. So you know Poirot, he arrives at the scene often, either he's invited or he's already there, etc. And then he's going to solve a murder, but it was very short, so we had like very few interviews, and then suddenly it was over. I do think it was interesting because we had like an introduction beginning of the granddaughter of Agatha Christie. Granddaughter. It was grandson, and apparently like they decided to do the novelization of this like 20 years after the author's death, and it was like, as I said, a play originally, and I didn't really think that it was a good play at the time, but they still made it, etc. And then they made a movie of it as well, and then this 20 years later came out as a novel. So if I read I was going to say if I read them 20 years ago I wouldn't be able to read this novel, but I just realized that 20 years ago after her death doesn't mean it's 20 years ago today. Because I do believe it said it was released in 1998, and I was born in 1997, so I couldn't have read it then because I was 1 year old or something. I liked it fine. I am missing, I feel like the first ones were very good, and now I feel like it's just the same over and over, which is theory it is, and I do like it, but I'm excited to get to more like the ones I know more, like Orient Express and Death on the Nile, etc., and see if like I like them more, or if they still feel the same, I guess. But it was okay. Then I just read the next one, because updating between every book actually takes longer than just update in a few, you know? And the next challenge was to read a book outside your comfort zone. I feel like I'm comfortable with a lot of things, but we do have like classics, etc. But I chose a poetry collection, not because I'm uncomfortable with it. I think outside your comfort zone sounds dramatic sometimes, but like I'm comfortable with fantasy and like genres. I know what I'm getting into, etc. But poetry, I wouldn't say I'm uncomfortable with it, but I read very, very little of it. So I think that it's not a genre I find comfort in, is what I'm trying to say, but I don't feel uncomfortable. I did have Content Warning Everything by Craig and Messi on my TBR. It is 43 whole pages, and it is a Craig and Messi's poetry collection. And I will admit that when I ordered it, I didn't know it was poetry collection. I thought that it was just another novel or maybe non-fiction by the author. And then I got it and I was like, it's so small. And I was so shocked, and I opened it and I was like, oh my god, it's poetry. But if I was going to read a poetry collection for someone, I would have loved for that to be Craig and Messi. I have read a few, but like very, very few. Craig and Messi already writes like poetry, I think. Like they write very, very beautifully, and I think that you can really, really see that here. It is, as it says, so it's content warning for a lot of things in this story, especially sexual assault that is mentioned a lot. I think that the poetry was beautiful, but I, as not a poetry reader, can really, I feel like, because obviously poetry is a lot between the lines and it says a lot without saying a lot, etc., etc. Sorry, there's a cat coming here. So I think that for me, I really enjoyed it and I thought it was really, really good. But I don't know if every poetry fan would feel the same, you know what I mean? But I thought that there were some beautiful poems in there about healing and anger and betrayal and being a person that is alive, etc., and queerness. So I personally really, really liked it. Thought it was really good. I could read it again. I did want to actually audio it in like not 3x speed, but like normal, but there wasn't an audio as I could find. And now the cat is purring very loudly. but I personally very much enjoyed it and got it off my TBR, which is why we are here. Obviously, it was very, very short. Now, I was going to show you the next book, but the cat is in the way. You have to move, girl. I need to show them the next book. The next book's prompt, which you can see on the over my cat, is to read a book published in your birth month. And my birthday is in May, so I had to just find a May release. It doesn't say like a year, so it can be any Mays. And I obviously had a couple of options because there are books released every month of the year. Did you really have to come now? Right before this, I opened them out of vlog and said, there's no pets here, and then she came running. My buck is like lying over here. The cat is not going to be happy about this. Let's see. I'm just going to get the book. I'm just going to get the book. It's fine. This is disturbing. This is disturbing. Hello, I'm on sprints. I have limited time here, girl, before the sprint is over. So I went with The Cat Got Offended, Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. This was released in May. Oh no, the cat is back. Girl, I gotta talk to my vlog here. You gotta be patient with me. This was released in May 2023, which is obviously a few years ago already, since we are in 2025, soon 2026. And I just, for some reason, procrastinated starting this, even though I love to sleep in the Sea of Stars. And for me, that is a 5-star book, and I love it. And this is set in the same world, but I don't think it follows the same characters. It is also much, much shorter than Sleep, because Sleep is like 800 pages or something. And I think that this is, I haven't actually opened it and checked the page count. But now I am, after finishing Black Coffee and Content Warning, all of those I wanted to finish yesterday, at least Black Coffee. And then I was like ready to do Content Warning today if I didn't get to it. So in theory, now I am where I was supposed to be yesterday. Like, I was supposed to start today with reading Fractal Noise, and now I'm starting it. But I can definitely still finish it today. It is only 1823, and it is not thick, like it's not 300 pages, even though I do think I read Sleep pretty slowly, but that is a couple of years ago. So I'm hopeful. Oh, and then I did reread, I think, at the point on audio. Didn't I? I did. Really weird to think about now. But I'm hopeful I can finish this in like 2 sprints. As I said, I am on sprints. And then maybe even start the next one, which is also less than 300 pages. I don't actually know the page count for this. Maybe it has more pages than I think. It just looks small. Wait, there's a lot of like world building in the end, which obviously is like the addendum they call it. Can I please get to see the page count? 257. I thought it was more. That is so little. I didn't know, because like sometimes they look small and they're like literally 250 pages anyway. 257 is nothing, guys. There's hope. There's hope. Okay, I'm gonna go and read. Okay, so I have read more because apparently we are on a roll, and we found out that it's not that long as we thought. I did finish Fractal Noise, which is in a fractal verse, whatever it's called, by Christopher Paolini. The first book is about a girl that kind of meets this, I was gonna say, entity that makes her into almost a hero, a symbol for others. Like, it's a journey of heroism, I would say. This one is more of a horror book and a horror story. We are going on an expedition that is not going that well. We find this hole, and we follow a main character that is very depressed and sad because his love died, and then he's just trying to find a will to basically live. And they go on this mission that is not going well, and it's like horrors that is happening. Different kind of vibe. It's a little bit of fun sci-fi that fits very well into the universe. There's horrors in Sleep as well, but this more definitely feels more like a horror sci-fi in the same universe. I really enjoyed it. It was short and good and managed to tell a story that I found was interesting, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I gave it a 4. Short and sweet review as well, because we just want to keep reading. Now, this next prompt was also free space, which is an extra prompt. For that, I have chosen out Pride and Prejudice for the same reason as I explained earlier for Sense and Sensibility. So, look. In theory, I did just say that I have read this before. However, I read it in 7th grade in Norwegian, and I can't remember a single thing about it. And this book is on my TBR because I always intended to, I was going to say, read it again. I feel like then I'm reading it for the first time, even though in theory I have read it before many years ago. So it's still counted as a TBR book because in my like library system, it is on my TBR, if you know what I mean. In theory, I have, I think, another edition. I don't think that edition is on the TBR, so this is a bit weird. But this one is, so it is a book that is going out from the TBR shelf to the red shelf a little bit, so then we count it. But I am listening to audio for this one as well. I just decided to do so, and I'm not going to listen to audio right now because we are in a space to read physically, which goes faster for me, but I do still need an audio for like, not tomorrow probably, maybe when I cook maybe, but Monday and Tuesday definitely, and that will be the audio I'm listening to then. So we are just gonna jump over it, but like it is here and we're gonna read it, etc. And then we are going to the last boss battle. In theory, I could have read one book here and finished the whole readathon, but as we have been doing for the other challenges and boss battles, we are going to do all of the challenges. This is a boss battle for weapon. I assume that we are choosing the weapon we are fighting the boss with. The first one is a sword, which is Sword of Destiny, which is have someone pick a book out of a list from you. So I just sent my whole TBR in Libib to Erica, and you have to trust me on that. I'm not lying to you what she picked. But first, she actually picked a Bloodlines book, which is in Bloodlines series, which is a sequel series / spin-off series to Vampire Academy. And I said I cannot read that because that is for my Vampire Academy / Bloodlines read along, and we are reading those books as like for the live shows, etc. So you have to pick something else. So she picked The Drawing of the Tree by Stephen King, which is the second book in the Dark Tower series. But I said, but I haven't read the first one, but I can read the first one. I really want to, because I don't want to, in theory, I don't want to start a new series. I don't want to read Stephen King, but I owned that book for a really, really, really long time. I feel like many, many years. Here it is. It's one of the books, I think, when I started buying books, I owned it for the longest. I thought that, oh my god, Stephen King fantasy series, probably is cool. Every single Stephen King I read, I haven't enjoyed. So I don't know if I will like this, or if it's different from his other books, or if it's more of the same, just in a more of a direct fantasy setting. Obviously, he writes horror, which is in a way fantasy and supernatural. But is it the same in here? I have no clue. People love it, I think, and I am curious about it. And obviously I have this and the second one, and then I was intending to buy the rest, but then it stopped because, yes, I think it was because I was going back to his backlist and I was going to buy all of his books from the beginning. That is why I have like Carrie and Salem's Lot, etc. But I haven't read all of them because I didn't like it. So there's that. But I am now going to read Gunslinger, which is one, again, books I own the longest. I definitely think I own it since before we went to Japan, at least. I think when we were still like, I was a student in universities, at least like maybe since 2017 or something. That is a while. So it is good to read it. I also found out it is 238 pages. And again, I didn't choose this at all. Like I had no power here. So a short book. We are here. And I don't know anything about the plot. I assume we are following a gunslinger. And then we are going out to the Dark Tower, maybe? I don't know, but I will let you know when I read it, and hopefully I will read this today, which will be my last book today, I think, because now I read a lot today, and we are really on track here to finish up everything as I want to. Okay, so I'm about to film my January TBR, but I did want to obviously say that yesterday I did finish The Gunslinger, which was very, very short, as we know. And there was like a billion introductions. There was 2 introductions from Stephen King in the beginning. I was like, this is a lot of introductions. But he basically wrote that the first book is very like, he thinks it's shaky and like not the strongest one in the series. But we have a gunslinger who goes around on adventures, not adventures, but like he's a loner. He's fighting in this fancy world. I just think that for me, the writing was just not the way I liked it, like the way I want to be introduced to a fantasy world. Like I feel like we didn't get a good introduction, a good ease into the world, a way to like explain what was happening. I think that the writing was just very weird, and like I was gonna say the setup was weird. We kind of have like almost, it's not short stories, they do hang together, but parts in the story, and I just don't think it flowed really well. I was actually surprised because I did expect much more. I wouldn't exactly either say that I was disappointed, because obviously I didn't have that high expectations in the first place, but I was just bored. I don't think that we managed to introduce this world really well, or the character, or like have things in the story that made me feel like I was entering this fantasy world and enjoying it. It might be the length, it might be just the writing that didn't match for me, but I didn't end up enjoying it like a lot, and I thought I would like it more. Obviously, I do have the second book, so I will read that eventually, but I'm giving it a very low 2.5 basically. And for me, I just couldn't settle into it at all, and I was very surprised by that, because I assumed that I would at least enjoy the fantasy aspects of it, but then I just didn't feel it. It's also like a western in a way, which was also a choice. But yeah, I didn't really like it, which I don't know why I'm surprised by it, since I didn't really think I was gonna like it, but here we are. Now, the next boss battle weapons is a loaded dice, and that is to read a book with an odd number of pages or audio hours. So I went with this for length because these prompts were dropped yesterday, so I had to decide yesterday what to read for the last prompts. And I went for length because I think that I can finish earlier than I thought, which would be a Christmas/New Year's miracle. So I just literally went over to my shelves of like translated literature and chose out their Premonition, isn't that what you say, by Banana Yoshimoto. This is out of Kitchen, which is one that I didn't love, but obviously I read it and it was fine. And then I had decided to not get this, which is really weird. And then I had forgotten I wasn't supposed to get it, and then I bought it anyway. And now I'm like, well, now I have it. But now I don't really regret it, but I think it's very like poetry-like. And this has, if you were interested, because it's supposed to have an odd number of pages, and we have 133 pages. I was going to show you, but then maybe we're spoiling it actually, which is obviously super short, but I chose it on purpose so that we can finish maybe early, and also a book is a book out of my TBR, you know? So I'm going to read that for sure today, and then I'm hopeful to do 2 more, but we shall see if I can do that. And now I'm going to go and film my TBR, so see you later. Hello. So it is a bit later in the day, and I have now read the Premonition by Banana Yoshimoto. I think it's called the Premonition because a main character is a bit, I would say, almost psychic or sensitive to ghosts, etc. And she was a kid, and she can kind of like tell some things, at least when she was a kid, of when they're about to happen. And then it's about her, and then she visits her aunts, and then her aunt and her has like more of a deeper relationship than she thought. And then also she has a weird relationship with her brother as well. I don't want to say all the reveals that comes out of this, but there is a teacher-student relationship in here, and there is a relationship between brother and sister, even though they're not biologically related maybe. And it's really weird, and that is why I had so many low ratings on Goodreads. Like I think it had like almost lower than 3, and that was why I was like, will I even like this, because it has such low ratings. However, I'm not saying that incest is good, okay? I'm adopting myself here. Not that that mattered, but like I'm not saying that like that is good, just like writing about rape, etc. in fantasy novel isn't good either, and doesn't necessarily need to exist to make a good fantasy story, but it's often there just to be there because it's fantasy, as we know. And here, incest is obviously super weird, and a student-teacher's relationship is super weird. However, I will say that often these translated works are weird and have these like taboo subjects in them, and they are made, I'm not saying that necessarily it is acceptable, because here they kind of knew they couldn't be together and did comment that the relationships that were in here, they did comment that they were weird, but it was just kind of how it is, and it's so short to explore these different themes, and then it's over in a way. And I'm not saying that I endorse any of these relationship, but I am, however, I think maybe more used to different weird sort of relationship being represented in this kind of genre, is what I'm trying to say. But that is also like saying that, for example, rape in fantasy, that you are more exposed to that, especially dubious consent in like how like dark romance, etc. is. I don't know like how to explain the difference, because it feels different when like you read a dark romance and it has like loads of rape in it, and then I feel like ew. Well, like I feel like not the same kind of ew here, while it is still ew. I don't know how to explain the difference, but both is ew, but in different ways of ew, you know? I was still like, ew, this is really weird, etc. But I feel like I didn't hate it. I feel like still we explored different things in this novel that I could see not necessarily as beautiful, but as interesting things, because they are always like this. They just like start a random place. We have weird relationship that we explore, and then there was like some weird reveals, etc. Like the last one I read also, which was in this vlog, which translated, also had super weird relationship throughout. There was like cheating upon cheating, even though cheating and incest is 2 different levels of ew, you know? It still had, I think, some like in the ways of writing that I recognized, that I enjoyed, like the atmosphere of it, while a lot of the things that was happening in it was weird. But yeah, it was just like, in a way, I was going to use the word beautiful, but that is the wrong word, but interesting, and I didn't hate it, honestly. I thought I would hate it because the ratings were so low, but people really went out to get this book. So people hate this, but they can read loads of weird things in other types of novels. Just saying. I didn't hate it. I thought that it had, as I said, its moments, and like it was really truly a really sad story in here that is revealed in this short amount of pages, and I enjoyed it enough to give it a 3.5, honestly. So we are going to the next prompt, which I'm hoping to read today, but we are leaving like as soon as I don't know if I will be able to. The next prompt for this boss, it's a telephone book. That is a weapon, and it is to read a book that mentions any telephone or phone in any capacity. So I have chosen Last Violent Call by Chloe Gong. First of all, because it is call in the title, so in a way we do mention a phone because we have call in the title, I would say. There was a phone on the cover. Like, this is a like middle novella between in this duology, which is the sequel / spin-off duology to These Violent Delights. And I read the first one, I think it's called Fall Lady Fortune, which was fine, but I didn't really love it. And I'm questioning buying special editions. But I do also have the fairly special edition of this like novella in between. And obviously I also chose it a bit because of the length, but I honestly thought that, like, look, it has cover, it has phones as the edges. But again, the length also won me over here because it is 226 pages, which we love to see. So I definitely have the belief in me I can finish this today, even though we are going to the cinema, but I'm not sure because I need to go to bed right after when we're home as well. Obviously, it was also the next one I need to read in the series because obviously there is like a second book, but this is 3.5. 2.5. It's 3.5 because the first one is the first two in the These Violent Delights. Then it is Fall Lady Fortune, which is number 3. So this is 3.5, which is like the Shanghai universe or Shanghai something. I don't remember exactly the name. So I will read this next, getting it out of my TBR as we love to see. And then I shall let you know whenever I have finished it. I also did start Pride and Prejudice when I was eating breakfast on audio, and I'm enjoying it so much so far. Much more than I enjoyed Sense and Sensibility. So that is really, really good. And obviously I will let you know whatever happens next. I don't know what happened, but I felt super behind on this, and I was like, will I even finish before the new year? And I think I will finish today, and it's like 3 days left of the year. What is happening? Which is a lot for me because now I can read all the things I had to read that I didn't know if I got time for. So yesterday I did manage to finish Last Violent Call by Chloe Gong. This is 2 short stories set in the Shanghai. What is the name of the series? I literally have forgotten again. Why is Goodreads making it Secret Shanghai Universe? I was about to call it Shanghai Secrets, which is not its name. In the first one, we see Juliet and Roma again, and in the second one we had, I literally forgotten their name, Benedict and Marshall. Every time I see the name Benedict now, I just think about Readathon. I thought it was fun to see the characters again because obviously while I am in conflict with myself if I really loved Our Violet Delights. What is it called? These Violet Delights, it's called. Because I feel like I enjoyed parts of it, I feel like I enjoyed the setting, etc. I just also feel like it was okay, but I still cared a bit, so I can't decide. So it was fun to see some of the characters again, but I'm also like, what was the point of this? I get it, it's a short story collection, etc. But I feel like for me it's a bit of a money grab because obviously we have this really short thing. Yes, we get to see lovable characters again, but it could have just been like an extra short story in like the next book. It didn't need to be a book in its own. And I feel like, I feel like I paid full price for this as a special edition, and I'm like, was it worth it? Don't know. It is worth it in a regard that if you want the whole set, you have the whole set. But if it's not worth it because you're spending so much money on a story that it's just like an add-on, it's not like a story that there was a world that much, it's just like a fun adventure. However, maybe the things that are happening in here will connect more into like the next book in Fouling the Fortune or Secret Shanghai Universe book 4. I do also understand that, but still it just feels, I'm conflicted because if it's been maybe another universe I care more for, let's say like the Grisha Wars, I feel like I would have like grabbed it and like not cared that like the story didn't matter. But here I cared, so maybe that says something about how I feel overall about the series. But I felt fine about it. It wasn't bad. It was just completely okay, and I gave it a 3. So we finished that. Then I did also read the next one, which is still Boss Battle Weapons, obviously, because that is the last promise we have, which is Nido. We were a very small or short book, which is exactly what we needed, obviously, because we are in the long run, in the last run The Lost Sprint. And I chose A Mirror Mended by Alex E. Harrow. This had 130 whole pages. And I finished this while the commercials was running in the cinema yesterday, which I think is a bit funny. This one is the sequel in Fractured Fables, and the first book was, what's it called? I Spindle Splintered. I have to turn around to see the title. And I loved that actually when I read it. I give it 5 stars, and it was one of my favorite reads of that year. I literally loved it so much. That was a Sleeping Beauty retelling. It was FF romance, going to different universes, and it's very fun. And this one we have more Snow White, so maybe you can tell on the title. But I don't know why, but I did not like this at all. I was just like, what is happening? It was very humoristic and tried to be like really funny and light in its tone. And now I cannot remember the tone of A Spindle Splintered anymore, because it's been a couple of years since I read it, and it was a very fast read, so it's been gone from my mind. At the time, I loved it. I love how it came together. I love how it was about love, and I gave it 5 stars. Cannot remember if it had the same tone as this, but I didn't like this at all. We do still travel universes, and this time we meet Snow White, because in the last one it was like she saved Sleeping Beauty, but Sleeping Beauty got together with her best friend, and now she's finding her love, if I remember correctly. And I just didn't care, and I just didn't like the tone of the story. It felt really weird and bougie, if that is a word, and I was just like, why is this so weird? And like the whole tone of the story and like the depth of the story that I feel like was in A Spindle Splintered wasn't there anymore. So I didn't like this at all. And I'm like, ew, will I just keep this that I didn't enjoy? But I don't want to unhaul the first one because I love that. But then it feels weird to own this that I didn't like at all. And I give this a 2 because I didn't like it. And it was weird because I really truly love the first one and I'm so confused. But this one generally had bad ratings. But I also see that the first one had bad ratings. So I don't know what happened to my brain then. If I would feel the same if I reread the first one, I don't know, but now I never kind of want to because I don't want to ruin the experience I had with that when I read it. We have 2 prompts left. First one, obviously, still being Pride and Prejudice. I am listening to that right now, so hoping to finish that today because then this vlog will be over because we do only have 1 book left we need to eyeball read. The last challenge is still, obviously, Boss Battle Weapons. This is an empty cardboard box and it's to read a book that was delivered to you, digital or otherwise, which is literally almost all the books I own because most of them I get delivered to me in the mail because I usually buy online, even though I do also have obviously a couple of hundred that I bought in the store. So I just chose one that I do remember very specifically. I ordered on Book Depository back then when that existed, and that is The Why Ones by Nafisa Assad. This was one of the that was added first in Libib, so that was also one of the reasons I chose it. Nafisa Assad is the author of The Candle and the Flame, and I really, really like that. It's like a standalone gin story, and it was really good. So I don't actually know like what this is about, but I hope it is good because it is gorgeous and purple. It seems to also be a standalone. It's about like 350 pages. Definitely think I can finish this today. Then I also just need to listen to Pride and Prejudice done, and then we are done with this whole thing. Now you know my last read, at least physical read, and I will try to finish both of these today. At least I know I will finish Pride and Prejudice tomorrow if I don't finish it today, which is totally fine. And if you see me then. We are in the hum run now, if you can say that. I did finish The Why Ones by Nafisa Assad. This one is following these girls that have gone through lots of different kinds of trauma. They live in a world that is controlled by man. They're forced to be a certain person with men, and they also are being assaulted, etc. And they have formed this group of Y ones, which are women that can be free together, etc. And then it is about them having to help this boy, and that can break them apart almost. Is that what it says? Yeah, dangerous magical forces are chasing him, and they will destroy him to get his powers. We will do everything to save him if we can. And then it's just them like being wild and free together and trying to save this boy. I think the idea of the story was great. I think the themes of the story are really important. I just have several problems with the story. First of all, I thought that we were in a fantasy book, so we were always like, I don't know, I thought we were in a fantasy setting, but we are really not. At least like, I don't know how to describe like fantasy setting back in the day, I don't know. But maybe that is my own fault. But I just feel like a lot of fantasy doesn't describe like the kind of world they are in a way, because we suddenly had like motorbikes, and like in one of the backgrounds, because we have like these like memory shots in the story, we mentioned IKEA, and I was just like, wait. So then I had to adjust around in my head of where we were in a way. And granted, that is maybe my own fault to expect a fantasy to be set in a world where IKEA doesn't exist, or like back in the day where IKEA is not a thing. But then, like, when you mention stuff like that, my brain goes like, wait, where are we right now? You know? So then obviously we have more of a modern setting than I initially thought, which is obviously fine. Then I need to adjust to that in a way. But I think the memory shots in general were really nice, because then we get to know more about the girls and where they come from, etc. But I just think that the story itself is very shattered. We have a lot of like different parts of the story where we are with a character a bit, and then like we meet, and then like we are like floating again in kind of in the air of like being these girls meet together and what they do together, and then we are more to the plot. I don't think like the plot was written out exactly. That doesn't mean like I guess it was trying to be poetic, but I felt for me it made the story very scattered. But at the same time, I did enjoy it. I think the running was fine. Again, I think the idea of the story was fine, and I did like parts of it, and it was an easy, okay, good read of a good themes. But again, scattered storytelling, like this scattered review, and then just me being like, what is this really about? Because I think the idea of these girls in this group could have been executed better. And I think it is ironic they're doing all of this for a boy, but okay. And I think that it could have just been executed differently, and I would have enjoyed it more if it was about something else and written in a different way. So that just sounds like I don't like this book, honestly. But I did enjoy it fine. I give it a 3. I do really like think it's pretty. I just don't know if I will ever want to read it or like have it yet. I haven't decided if I should haul it or yet. So the only thing we need to do is to finish Pride and Prejudice. I've been listening to it all day. Like obviously not right now, but I listened to it a lot earlier, and I was making this list so I could finish it. And we have how much left of it? I'm gonna check. It's loading for a long time. Can you just open the audiobook, please? Oh, I have like 20 minutes left. Actually less. So I'm gonna finish that, and then we're done with all the books. Amazing. Then we can post this tomorrow. Hello. We have come to the end of this vlog, and I did obviously finish yesterday Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, which I did end up enjoying, I think, more in the beginning before we went more into who was actually ending up with who in the end. But I just think that it is the writing that turns me a bit off the story. I think that maybe the way I enjoy these being written is much easier. Maybe that is showing that I am stupid or something. I don't even know. But I did still like it. I like the general story. I like the characters. But I didn't flow that well with the writing. I'm going to try for the next Jane Austen I'm going to read it with my eyeballs instead of the audio, because it might have to do with something in the rhythm and that to ruin a bit of my enjoyment of it. But it's not like I disliked it. I just feel like parts of the story and how it was written was not for me, sadly. But I did give it like a 3.5 and rounded it up to a 4. And it's not like I'm, again, disliking it. I just feel like some of the personality of the story is always the writing, but I feel like I get a bit lost in it. So again, I think it's me. And yes, we have completed my tower of books. And this is all the books that we read. I was trying to like pile them, and then realized now that for the thumbnail I wanted them to be secret, so then, but you can't see them now either, but it's fine. Guess I don't bother turning them. Where is my phone so I can give you some stats? We started this vlog out with 546 books on my TBR, which is great. We love to see it. We are now on 510. I don't know if you are doing the math or not. I don't know if you care enough to actually math this, but we did take 39 books out of my TBR for this vlog. We did 39 prompts. We did 39 different books and different prompts. Obviously, as you know, like The Near Witch counted as 4 books out of my TBR because I had added 4 different editions. So that was a great little booster there. But in the period we filmed this, which is basically exactly 30 days, we did add 7 books to my TBR. That was some of the books that came in the mail, and that is why it's not exactly 39. So like we still obviously made a big progress, but then we plus on top always. But then in there, which gave us a good booster in there too. Also took out 1 other book from my TBR that wasn't for this video in those 30 days. So that is also why there is a difference. So I don't know if you're mathing it, but that is how we ended up. So we are now in this moment on 510, which is a great number, because I did say in the beginning I would like to go under 500. We didn't exactly do that, but think if we hadn't added 7 books to my TBR, we would have been on 503, which have been so close. But you're not on 600 of them anymore, at least. I can't can't say that anymore. We are definitely now on 500. Out of the 39, we did unhaul 11 books and we are keeping 28 of them. I ended up also unhauling Beats of Extraordinary Circumstance, which is in here somewhere, but I do believe I said I was going to keep that, but then I changed my mind. We also did unhaul a couple of other books that weren't like in the vlog directly. These are not written up, but it's like My Lady Jane #1, because I'm not going to keep that if I don't have the sequel. And then we have Midnight Light, which is the first one to the Hollow Hearts, and then also Girl from Everywhere, as well as Graceling, the first one. All of those were the first one to the sequels that we read, which we obviously do love to see. Obviously, they will stay in my room for a while until I actually manage to film an unhaul. So if I change my mind, I can hold them back in. I am hoping to read the last My Lady Jane on audio, like within the next few months. I can check if I actually decide to unhaul the whole series or not. Other than that, you know-ish what I unhauled or not, and then I hope you're excited for the next episode. I'm really trying to decide how to choose books for the next episode, because I like it to be a bit random, but at the same time have a bit of power, or like a mix of it. And I like it to be a good amount of books, not like 8 books like last time. Obviously now 2025 is over and the goal is to be done with it is in 2026. The goal is to get my TBR down to 100, so it means we have exactly 410 books left. And then you need to think that throughout the whole year there will come in new books, not as much as before, but there will always be a couple of books. Like, I don't think 7 books in a whole month is that much for me, considering if I didn't have a TBR, 7 books in a month would be nothing, so because I definitely read much more than 7 books in a month anyway. But I still hope you enjoy this. I think we've made a really good progress. Look at this. This is a good tower. Wait, one book is not in there because I had to take the Sanderson like away because they were like a weird size. I will put it on top. These are about to fall. Again, I hope you enjoyed this last episode from 2025. I do believe that the next one will be a bit delayed because I'm doing 2 other vlogs before that. So it will probably be like mid-February instead of in January, I think, all depending on how many books are chosen out for that. Since we are the day before New Year, leave fireworks down below if you enjoy this, because I don't know what emoji fits for Pride and Prejudice, honestly. And you should see me soon in a new one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!